Nicolás, eat the peace. Nicolás, eat the peace. Mira la changa esa, no tiene la changa. ¿Te han visto la changa? Peace, forever, forever, forever. Decirle al pueblo de Estados Unidos, no a la guerra. No queremos una guerra en el Caribe ni en Sudamérica. No. Not war. Yes, peace. No a la guerra loca. No crazy war. No. ¿Cómo se dice en inglés? Please, please, please. Yes, peace. Listen to me. Yes, peace. Peace forever. Peace forever. Peace forever. Esto se llama lenguaje tarzaneado. Tipo Tarzán sería sí, paz, sí, paz, sí, paz por siempre. Sí, paz, paz, paz. Not war, just peace. The people United States. De parte de the people Bolivarian Republic. Are you one?
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Craig Pasta Jardula.
Episode 151, Pay No Attention to the Men Behind the Curtain.
And a real fake news update. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
Here we go. Welcome to the Homeless Left. We are here with you guys today, Tuesday, this week, getting things started off. We have a lot to get to today, guys. A lot of big show. We got Craig Pasta joining us in a little bit. But first, I just want to say, hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving weekend, however that may have been for you. We hope it's been positive, the best it can be. Connections is very important. People that maybe you have drifted apart from, we want to, kind of inspire people to reconnect if it's something that, could help you at this time of year, because it's a tough time. I mean, for some people, we're going into the holiday time. For us, we're still dealing with, and I know a lot of people out there are dealing with, health problems that are going on within their community, within their family. Leslie's father is still in the hospital. The recovery process is very challenging. And so the good news is that there's a lot of people like Leslie and the family that are surrounding him and trying to help him through this. It's a difficult maneuver to do these days. We are more than ever more skeptical of our medical establishment than we've ever been before. We have to do our own research. We have to second guess. We have to get second opinions. We have to really look at things and not just do the thing that they tell us. We have to look at stuff and ask questions and question everything. And these are important. It's important to do, not just in the day-to-day politics that are happening, but the things that actually affect our lives. Our health is the number one thing. And that's everything. And so is our peace of mind. And we talk about peace. And what does peace look like? Peace is the contrast to war, right? So those are probably the most two important things we're going for. We're going for health and peace. The problem is with health and peace is there's no money in health and peace. There's money in sickness and in death, sickness and in war. So the opposite is true. And that's why the healthcare system works like a sick care system. And the quest for peace is really just a quest for more war. And it's every party. It's both parties. It's all sides. It's not, there's nobody fighting for you. There's nobody fighting for your health or for peace. They're fighting for the opposite. So we have to have those fights ourselves. And we have to, like I said, do our own research, look into things. And that's why independent media is so important right now. It is absolutely essential that we are here right now, that you are here with us. We are fighting so many battles on so many fronts right now. We can't keep up with all of the battles. There's 1,000 of them going on. The main one, which you guys know, is the censorship industrial complex. That's the main thing. It's the suppression of information. It's the manipulation of information. And it's the propaganda machine that pretends to be the media, the journalism, and the thing that they're supposed to go out and get the story and hold people accountable and all that stuff. It's not what they are. So we have to do that work because they won't. And that's why we're here on the Homeless Left. And today's episode, similar themes we've seen in past weeks. We're talking about what's really behind that curtain, the thing they don't want you to look at. And that's what we're going to dig. We dig a little deeper. It's not about right and left and who's telling the truth and who's wrong, who's right, and who's wrong, who's more wrong. It's all theater. We have to look behind that curtain. Once you see what's behind that curtain, it's hard to unsee it, right? That's kind of the thing. So they always say, this from Wizard of Oz, is pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. We're paying attention. We're certainly paying attention, and we're going to do something about it at that. So with that said, let's see. We seem to be having an algorithm problem, big time. We've had this before. It's not going to get upset right now, but looks like we're a little suppressed here on Rumble. Generally, our Rumble starts getting going right about now. 10 minutes into the show, we start to get a little going. We'll see. We'll give it a little time. Not gonna get bent out of shape right now. But let's just, guys, what I need you to do is not just hit the like. We need you guys to share this out. Obviously, if you're stumbling on us, hit the subscribe. That's important. But yeah, the like, the comments. We will get to your guys' comments later. We do have a big show. We have a lot to go through today. So hopefully we'll generate some buzz as we move through, because we're going to be here with you guys mostly all afternoon. Like I said, we got Craig Pasta coming in with us in a little bit. So let's first, we're going to do this, because you guys know we like to start off with real fake news on Tuesdays. So I'm still grabbing a couple things on that one. But yeah, guys, if you're on Rumble, again, this one, for some reason, there's been a few episodes where it looks a little weird at first, and this has been happening a couple times lately. We had a great show last week, right before Thanksgiving, a ton of people on the channel, and so you never know. And I know we deal with this. This is what everybody has to deal with. It shouldn't be a big deal, but we know what censorship looks like. We know that it takes forms that are harder to detect. Shadow banning, very difficult to detect sometimes. Not as cut and dry as when they send you an email and they tell you your channel no longer exists. You violated some rule, but we're not going to tell you what. That's a little more easy to detect, because that's them telling you you're out, you're done. We're done with you. So the problem in shadow banning is you don't get that email. It never comes. And so that's the problem. Okay, well, whatever. We're going to go with it today. Again, thanks for being here, guys, with us on this Tuesday. And let's just go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started right now. Here we go. Real fake news update. Here we go. It's a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Today, we're looking at the mainstream media and how they have been misreporting, probably on purpose, of course on purpose. Why wouldn't it be on purpose? Misreporting on Venezuela. And all this happening, you have a narrative on Fox News. You got another one going on CNN and MSNBC. And of course, while all that's happening, Maduro is preparing right now. He's preparing his troops. He's preparing to go to war because the U.S. is ready to invade. They've surrounded the Caribbean, a massive amount of warships ready to attack, ready to invade. We've obviously already seen some attacks over the last few months on these ships that have been bombed and have been celebrated and highlighted by our Secretary of War. So we've seen the escalation. There was a phone call. We're going to get into that in a second between Maduro and Trump. But this is the real bullet points of what happened is that Maduro has rejected the U.S. demand of resignation in exchange for safe passage. That was the purpose of the phone call, which happened. It was Trump's last attempt to push him out. That was never going to happen. He's fighting to the end. That's what the Chavistas do in Venezuela. That is their mantra, that he took over the role from Chavez previously in 2013. And that was the commitment Maduro made to Chavez, was fight to the end. So there is no resignation that he's going to do on his own. That's not going to happen. So there we go. And after this, MIT Press News tweets out that Nicolas Maduro has reportedly refused the offer and for the exchange of his immediate resignation, and that would have been safe passage to keep him alive and the family, blah, blah, blah. So the phone call that went down, nothing was really accomplished into that phone call. It was a failed discussion. And at the end of it, Trump has now publicly declared the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela should be considered closed in its entirety. So that's it. Airspace closed. Military comes in with more ammunition, setting up that chessboard for a full-out invasion. That's it. Okay. So how is this being reported on mainstream? Well, let's start with Fox. This is the big one. Let's go with this one. Okay, here we go. Jesse Waters.
Alert, it is Judgment Day. Sources say Maduro's been praying to Jesus. That's the narco-terrorist, socialist dictator who took over for Hugo Chavez in Venezuela and keeps flooding American streets with migrants, gangs, and cocaine.
There's your misinformation right there. We know none of that is true. None of that is true. Any of the drug cartel happening is coordinated with the CIA, with us. That's how it works. It's always been that way. And Jesse Waters knows that, but his audience doesn't. And so that's why this works on them.
11 U.S. warships, including our largest carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, are now in the Caribbean. Venezuela is surrounded. The strike group is waiting on orders from the commander-in-chief as the president's holding high-level meetings at the White House, calculating our next move against the narco state. The choice is Maduro's. Trump's giving him an ultimatum: abdicate power or else. After Trump's phone call with the dictator, that's the best offer.
The New York Times reported that you had a phone call with Maduro. Did you?
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
And can you tell us a little bit
No,
about
I can't do that.
Mr. President, would you say it went well?
No, I wouldn't say it went well or badly. It was a phone call.
This time, it wasn't a perfect phone call. The Venezuelan strongman reportedly asked for global amnesty. And Trump said, how about no?
Well, that's not how it happened. That's a manipulation of the phone call. It was Trump trying to offer Maduro. Maduro's the one who said no. So there he is switching it around. But you guys can see that one. That's an obvious one. Okay, here we go.
Then he said, what if I hold free and fair elections? Trump said, no.
Now he's just making shit up. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Even if you believe in your heart of hearts that Maduro ran an illegitimate election and he didn't actually win, nobody would say that on a phone call. Nobody would say that. You should know that he's lying about that. Nobody would say, what if I stop cheating? That's not a thing. Nobody ever does that. Cheaters don't do that. Okay? So just know that. This is propaganda. Okay, continue.
He did that and you lost. Then he asked, if I step down, can I still control the military? 47 said, pack your bags.
Again, none of that's true. That's not the mantra. That's not the way of the Chavistas, of the Venezuelans mindset. And the fact that he took over from Chavez in 2013, and that was never part of the that's not an option. You don't do that. That's not what he signed up for. It's never going to happen. So again, Jesse Waters just lying to you, to his audience right here.
Even with a $50 million bounty on his head, Maduro's maintained an iron grip on power by bribing his cronies with kickbacks from the coke, oil, and gold rackets. But this time, the narcos aren't calling shots anymore. Uncle Sam is, a.k.a. Trump. And the president's tightening the noose. In the last 24 hours, Trump declared the airspace above Venezuela entirely closed. Closing airspace can only mean one thing. This is escalating, and it's escalating quickly. The commander-in-chief isn't going to ratchet up the pressure, then walk away without a win. There's no way Maduro can face down the full force of a U.S. carrier strike group. The president is keeping his options open.
What's the position on whether U.S. troops on the ground is a possibility there? Is that, I know you've answered that before, but what's the current operative
in Venezuela? I think my previous answer stands. There's many options at the president's disposal that are on the table.
Maduro's a sitting.
Well, no, she's not saying anything specific at all. We know what the three options were: is that he stands down, that we kill him, or there was three options, but none of them involved anything positive for Maduro. There's no negotiation. So there's no negotiation happening on either side. So that was a wasted question and answer.
And word on the street is he'll be out of power before Christmas. No one's bailing the socialist out. He's getting no love from his sponsors in Beijing and Moscow. Putin and Xi Jinping are at the table with Trump doing much bigger trade and diplomatic deals. They're not going to throw Maduro a lifeline and jeopardize the deals over a small fry in our backyard.
That's actually not true either. Now there's priorities for Xi Jinping and Putin, but they absolutely are backing Maduro. He has backing, not just with them. He's got backing in other Latin American countries as well. And this is the difference we talk about when we go in and we target what we call a dictator to take him out. The mistake, and maybe mistake's a hard word, but if we look back at what happened to Gaddafi in Libya, he didn't have an alliance of other countries around him, and that might have been the critical difference. We won't say mistake, because I don't know if he just didn't have it, and he was totally going independent on his own in Libya. So in this case, Maduro is aligning with other leaders, other countries. We know Colombia, we know Mexico. So those are they're very powerful alignments. And overseas, we do know the alignment with China and with Russia on various levels, financially, militarily speaking, but just even in a minimal way, they are certainly aligned here. So this is again another spin by Fox News here. Now we're gonna get into the more interesting theater part of this, where you pit the liberals versus the conservatives against each other. Here we go. We're coming up with that one soon here.
And we're doing the Europeans a big favor. Venezuelan gangs have been trafficking boatloads of coke to West Africa, and the Africans have been pouring it into France and Germany. Maduro's isolated. According to UN investigators, he's guilty of crimes against humanity, torture, murder, sexual violence. He only got 20% of the vote last year, stole the election, and wouldn't leave. And he's unleashed.
So this is just making these numbers up. All this is made up. This is just like Maria Coronavirus Machado also just makes up numbers about the Venezuelan people and how the election went. We know that none of that is actually true. Not saying there isn't any ounce of corruption within the Maduro government. There certainly can be. There's obviously stuff off the books. There's kickbacks. We know how the relationships they have with the revolutionary civilian groups these collectivos. We know that a lot of stuff is off the books. A lot of money is moved. So we're not saying there's 100%, wash their hands of anything. But the fact that this entire narrative is about pretending that we are the good guys coming in, the heroes coming in to save the day, that is the problem. And that's the problem with Fox News audience, is that they're falling for this in real time.
Migrants, gangs, and poison onto our shores. Chuck Schumer's backed military action in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Yemen, and Ukraine. Schumer is basically down for whatever, whenever, no questions asked. But now that Trump's the president, he has questions.
Americans are right to wonder, what on earth is Donald Trump planning in Venezuela? Is Donald Trump nudging America into another war? Is he seeking regime change for Maduro? Will he put U.S. troops in harm's way? Nobody knows.
So pay attention to how Jesse Waters sets this up. He says Chuck Schumer has been aligned with every other military action and illegal activity we've been participating in and initiating for the last several decades in every shape or form. And now what's going on? Why is he's against this one? Well, he's not against this one. He's just pretending to be against Trump, but he's actively for this one as well. So Jesse Waters is giving it away without saying it. He's saying that Chuck Schumer's just talking shit, but if you look at his action, it's going to line up with every other war because it doesn't matter which president was president. Chuck Schumer was pushing for war on every one of them. This one is no different. Now let's get a little bit more clear on how this fake theater works on the different news networks. Here's how Anderson Cooper plays the concerned look about Trump's doing something uniquely evil here. It's very manipulative. Pay attention. We're going to break it down. Here we go.
Tonight with breaking news on an Oval Office meeting between President Trump and key members of his national security team, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Kane, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The focus, Venezuela, as the Trump administration intensifies its pressure campaign against the country. Controversy is swirling over the very first U.S. strike on alleged Venezuelan drug traffickers. Now, some Democrats, military scholars, and at least one Republican are calling it a potential war crime. This is the video of the strike that was released by the administration at the time. On September 2nd, President Trump posted it on social media with a message that read in part, quote, "On my orders, U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility. TDA is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro." Now, what's not seen in the video, and what the White House has now confirmed, is that there was a second strike on the same boat. According to the Washington Post, initially there were 11 people on board that boat. After the smoke cleared from the first hit, military commanders discovered 2 survivors clinging to the burning wreckage. The detail that made the Post report so stunning is about Pete Hegseth's alleged role in all this. When the mission was initially greenlit, I'm quoting the Post now, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a spoken directive. According to 2 people with direct knowledge of the operation, the order was to kill everybody, one of them said. When survivors were discovered, quoting the Post again, the Special Operations Commander overseeing the September 2nd attack ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions, 2 people familiar with the matter said. The 2 men were blown apart in the water. Now, the reaction on Capitol Hill by some on both sides of the aisle has been outrage and calls for investigations.
Okay, we're going to pause there. Listen to what he's doing. He's faking outrage about how one of these murderous activities was done incorrectly. Do you see what's happening here? You take the 2 people that were already not a threat, but guess what? Nobody in the boat was a threat to begin with. And that's the part they won't talk about. They're going to talk about that Pete Hegseth doesn't care about 2 people that were in the water, and he did a second tap on those 2 and killed them. So that's what the distraction is. So now you have people watching CNN saying, how could he do that? He should have just killed the 9 people and then taken the other 2 into custody, which you should do if you're in a war. Problem is, this isn't actually a war. This is a terrorist act by the U.S. So it's not actually a war when it's one side committing terror on the other side. So when you focus on the 2 people in the water and act as if though that's the problem, unique problem of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Trump, and you focus on that, you're distracting from the fact that we're just committing war crime after war crime every boat we blow up. So that's done on purpose, and it keeps you upset about the wrong thing. Not to say that this isn't upsetting. Of course it's upsetting, but it's not. It's being told to you as a distraction from the overall context of the fact that we are committing more terrorist act as a nation that aggressively goes after and does regime change war after regime change war and annihilates people with no recourse. And make no mistake, Pete Hegseth isn't going to be going away. And you guys know this, right? He's not going away in handcuffs for this. So it is theater to be angry about it. Oh, Trump said this. Hegseth said this. Well, let's see. Let's watch. So keep that in mind and watch this play out. And the people upset about it. And don't fall for this thing where you're like, oh, let's get him. Let's get Pete Hegseth for this. He's extra diabolically evil, and Trump's extra diabolically evil and stupid because Trump didn't know it was even happening. Check this out.
This is House Republican Don Bacon and then Independent Senator Angus King.
If it was as if the article said, that is a violation of the law of war. When people want to surrender, you don't kill them.
If the facts are as have been alleged, that there was a second strike specifically to kill the survivors in the war in the water, that's a stone cold war crime.
And President Trump was asked about that reporting last night on Air Force One.
Now, Trump is not prepared for this, and we've seen this before. And so he's making it worse. But is he really making it worse, or is he helping with the distraction of, can you believe these guys have no idea what they're doing? They're evil, evil sons of bitches.
If there were a second strike that killed wounded people, even in the first strike, are you
well,
thinking that would be legal?
Number one, I don't know that happened. And Pete said he did not want them. He didn't even know what people were talking about. So we'll look into it. But no, I wouldn't have wanted that. Not a second strike. The first strike was very lethal. It was fine. And if there were two people around, but Pete said that didn't happen.
Does that make you?
I have great confidence.
He's saying there's no second strike?
I don't know. I'm going to find out about it. But Pete said he did not order the death of those two men.
So that was last night. By this afternoon, with questions continuing to be raised, the White House denied that Secretary Hegseth had ordered to leave no survivors. And they seem to be trying to shift the focus off Hegseth and onto the Special Operations Commander.
On September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated.
To clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
And there you go, doubling down. Not calling Trump a liar or an idiot, just maneuvering it, blaming it on somebody else, but doubling down on the fact that it was totally legal to do, which we know it wasn't. So this is the distraction. This is the built-in narrative theater piece that Anderson Cooper's helping to create with his concerned look and getting everybody watching, whoever's left watching CNN, to be concerned about that and pretend that is the crime that was committed. The second strike, not the first strike. That one is A-okay. We're all solid on that one. It's the second strike that killed the two people. That's the problem. And again, this is by design. It keeps us at each other's throats, making us think that Trump is this unique evil that did this. And if he just wasn't around, and if Pete Hegseth wasn't around, we'd be doing business as usual, which is taking out leaders in a more fun, high-fivey way, like Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice would tell you when they go on Jon Stewart and literally high five about how they murdered the shit out of Gaddafi. And that's again, more theater, that you have Republicans and Democrats high fiving on something. And that's where we should always keep our red flags up when they're agreeing on so much, which they are, minus Hegseth and a few really insane right wingers that we're going to end this segment with this part, because it is of note, even with this theater going on, that some of these people really are diabolically insane. This is Pete Hegseth telling us the strategy of war, and you can almost see him salivating on this. And this would be equivalent of a bad guy, of a villain speech in an action film, in a Tom Cruise movie. He'd be like the villain of Die Hard or one of the Marvel films. So, but this is real twisted shit here.
To win, we unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement.
Stupid rules of engagement. Wow. Holy damn. Wow.
We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my...
That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader, to wreak havoc and mayhem and torture people. And Dick Cheney's my hero because I grew up thinking, man, one day I'm going to be able to get away with that shit too. And I'm going to be more vocal about it when I do it. But they were pretty vocal back then, for sure. It's actually a lot of the Democrats that will hide behind this policy and not gloat about it as much. But again, the Chuck Schumers out there are voting for everything, like Jesse Waters told you. He's voting for every other war. This isn't an exception. This is just him having a theater piece where he's concerned about 2 additional people that weren't supposed to be killed. Just the 9, not the 2. But this is pretty sadistic. And by the way, this mindset comes from the IDF. It comes from Israel. We play to win. That doesn't make sense. When you look at when you start your thesis of how you conduct yourself militarily, and your starting point is we play to win, there's a problem with that. We play to protect, we play to save lives, we play for a better outcome than what we have now. We play to get to a goal that is just and humane. No, when you play to win, that means you're saying up front, we will break any rule known to man, moral compass, law, gray area law, just anything. We will do anything to win, which means you have nothing that you are defending. You're not defending anything anymore. You're just attacking. And that is an IDF strategy. There actually is no tactic in that. There's no tactics. There's just annihilation. Just there's first tap, second tap, third tap. There's no strategy there. There's just murder and mayhem. That's what's going on there. And along with him and some other people on the right, which there's a list of them, and they're very disturbing right now. This one's blowing up right here. I'll just play one more for you guys, just because it is very disturbing hearing these same people that talk about Christianity and what Jesus would do. And then you have to hear people like Megyn Kelly say horrible, horrible stuff like this.
I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys.
And that's why she's a Zionist. By the way, Megyn Kelly's a Zionist. She empathized very briefly with Tucker and with before they killed Charlie Kirk. Empathized with the fact that you couldn't have a critique of Israel. There was a little moment of empathy there because she realized you couldn't say anything about Israel. But that doesn't mean she still doesn't want to wreak mayhem on people and see them suffer and go with the Pete Hegseth playbook of annihilate your enemy and stay up at night thinking about the pain you inflicted and getting off on that. That's Megyn Kelly. So she's off she doesn't care. She'll just stop talking about Israel. She understands. If I say something about Israel, they're going to come after me. I don't need to say anything more about him because I just like pain and death and blood and lust, and that's it. And that's what she's about. Oh, by the way, I'm a Christian too. So there's that, right? Whatever the hell that means.
Who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the legalities there, Megan, because again, Pete Hegseth's not going away in handcuffs. Donald Trump's not going away in handcuffs. All of it, again, it's all theater. So you don't even have the fact that you're mentioning legalities doesn't actually effing matter. When has it ever mattered? We can do whatever the F we want to anyone we want, and there's no repercussions. All you're going to get is a little concerned fake look from R. Anderson Cooper when he goes, wait a minute, I thought we were just killing the 9 people. Why did we kill 2 more? Oh, that's concerning. That's all you're going to get. Nobody's going to jail. No one's going to jail. And that is your real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Okay, moving on, guys. We got more show for you. More show coming up. See if that algorithm's getting any better here. It's climbing. It's climbing, but man, they're throwing a tough one at us today. A little shadow banning going on, but we know you guys are with us, so stay with us and keep engaging, and we'll be back with you guys on some talking back later where we can respond to your comments and engage with you, because this isn't just you guys watching us. You're part of the conversation. You're part of the action, and that's how we do it here on the Homeless Left. Let's move on. More show here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our co-host for today. You know him, you love him. Please welcome back to the Homeless Left, Craig Pasta Jardula.
I don't have my makeup on. I hope I look okay.
You look great, man. What do you need to make? What are you talking about? You don't need
I wore the dark blue today because
yeah,
I wanted to represent some colors coming from Latin America. That last story you did, I didn't catch the whole segment, but wow, Megyn Kelly, that's just some disgusting shit. Look, this is something Fiorella's she's been much better about me. I thought there was a possibility with the populist right that they would move into this kind of non-interventionist mindset. Maybe the voters have, maybe some have some libertarian Ron Paul values and still want capitalism to thrive. But if there's any representation from the neocons and the right, I mean, the right is the party of the neocons. And we have to accept that. This is where Fiorella said, I'm not going to fall for the populist right. They're not the party of peace. Neither are the Democrats. They've now become full-blown warmongers themselves. But seeing this stuff is disgusting. I don't know if you shared Matt Gaetz retweeted Fiorella. And
we're gonna get to that one.
That's Matt Gaetz. And he was supposedly one of the more anti-war members of the House. No, not at all. He's been in Florida for quite some times. The anti-communist, anti-socialist representatives in Florida that some of the people call gusanos, which is the word that Castro used for the people who went and stood by the empire rather than standing for their home country. They've really gotten to people like Trump and Matt Gaetz and whatnot, because it's like him saying, oh, they rejected socialism. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's never been there. He doesn't understand this collective mindset where it's not like this Engels or Marxist socialism, which these countries are participating in. They're participating in forms of socialism out of a necessity of fighting off the empire, knowing that they're going to be sanctioned and cut off, pulling their resources together to make sure that they can live with some dignity and pride. It has nothing to do with ideology. But anyways, for Matt Gaetz to say these things, I don't know if you saw Glenn Beck has got some people out there, bringing on some people out there, just making these crazy accusations of these groups, these cartels that are supposedly controlled by Maduros, once again, using the framework of terrorism so they can do whatever they want. And it isn't specific to to Donald Trump. I'm glad you pointed it out. Joe Biden, Obama, Clinton, Bush W. Jr., they all participated in extrajudicial murder outside the United States, which is illegal. Yeah. Wherever we go, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights are supposed to come with us. But, man, this is really some disgusting stuff that's going on. And the right has now just shown their complete colors. I mean, they can never say that this is the peace president or anything like that, no matter how much they try to spin this. And they are trying to spin this. Jesse Waters trying to spin this. Like I said, Glenn Beck, Megyn Kelly saying that stuff, that is so fucking disgusting. Just downright disgusting. Megyn Kelly, you are a disgusting human being for saying that. I want these people to suffer. As if you're really going to believe. I mean, what little research does this person do where she would call herself a journalist? You know what I'm saying? Matt, I'm glad you brought this stuff to the table. But this is the criticism I got for agreeing with certain positions with people on the right and the populist right. People have told me, no, they'll circle back around and they will show their true colors. Well, you guys are showing your true colors.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, look, there's some people on the right that have gotten some stuff right. We know that. Then they get conflicted when we think we have them on our side. And then and I say our side, I don't mean come over in our little camp. I'm saying the side of just common sense humanity, right? So people like Matt Gaetz, it we'll get to that one later. But I think from my vantage point, I try to make the distinction between full-blown Zionist and non-Zionist. And I think that if you are non-Zionist, I think that even if you have no idea what socialism is, and you think all these places that we've taken out and that Maduro deserves to be taken out, I think there might be some hope for you in the sense that you just need to be educated. I don't think you can educate a Zionist. I'm just making that distinction. You can't educate a Megan
Can I make a comment about that, though? The anti-Zionist movement on the right, which, once again, we hope we use the better language when they would stop using the word Jew. They can say Jewish supremacist or Zionist. And I think I sense a lot of them, even Mike Rechtenwald, when I see a lot of his tweets online using the word Zionist. So I'm glad we got to him, because we want his criticisms to actually stick. And if you make this generalization about Jews, right, it's very, very bad. I mean, there's a whole group of conservatives that are using the term Jew, you know what I'm saying, and painting this broad brush, when we see a lot of people who are Jewish themselves who are being the hardcore anti-Zionist out there, right? Even in our media, right? You have Katie Halper, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Matei, Dan Cohen. These people are Jewish, and they're anti-Zionist as can be. So I'm glad that some of these people are catching up. But that whole movement, to be honest with you, when it comes to the Dan Blazarians, the Lucas Cages, the Candace Owens, right? They and Nick Fuentes, even the anti-Zionist movement on the right is also very anti-communist, anti-socialist. They're still telling this lie about the Bolshevik Revolution, trying to make it a revolution where Jews were killing Christians, when it was clearly we could talk to Don DeBar, who's an expert on this right now, and we've had people talking about this for decades. Now they're coming along with all this bullshit, right? The anti-Zionist movement on the right is hardcore anti-communist, anti-socialism. So that doesn't make them anti-imperialist. And that's the problem with that. And that's why it's important we catch them now. Yeah, they might be pointing out some good things out there too as well, but they're also telling some bullshit lies that are really they're not necessary. And it would lead to this type of behavior that Matt Gaetz is displaying, that, Glenn Beck is displaying. You have some anti-Zionists that still are aligned with Nick Fuentes says we should coup Venezuela. So I
think there's hope for people like Matt Gaetz versus a Megyn Kelly. I think that you can see Marjorie Taylor Greene is a perfect example of somebody who learns as she goes, and she's come out and said that enough of this Venezuela crap. So that's good. So
that's
I think you can
get her though.
I'm just saying we might get something like that from more of them, as long as they're not Zionists in their blood. There's something about a Zionist mindset that is so, like, you can't argue with it. It's if you saw that Pete Hegseth clip, he's a Zionist. He's talking about salivating over murdering and torturing people, and the strategy is winning. And you do that at all costs, and you have no moral compass, and you manipulate whatever you need to do. You do second tap, third tap, fourth tap, whatever you got to do, and you laugh about it when you're done. That's a Megyn Kelly mindset. She's not. You can't reason with that, right? But there is a difference when you talk about a Marjorie Taylor Greene and possibly a Matt Gaetz. I'm not saying he's definitely going to. I'm saying he's someone you could actually talk to and say, let's educate you about this.
Done. No way. Not me. I'm done with that. Right. I'm sorry. I'm done with that. Completely done. Not going to trust these people ever again. They show their true colors. It's not like they weren't that this way before. Matt Gaetz is pushing for regime change, and there's no changing that. I mean, he's choosing to be one way and not the other. So I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, like I said, she's also had some issues too as well in the past. I won't completely trust her. I think she's definitely been the best of a lot of them. But no, with the anti-communist movement is another thing, because when you're anti-communist, for some reason, you slip into a pro-imperialist mentality. You justify going in and changing these regimes simply because they have a way of governance that you disagree with. And I think Angela McArdle said it best. The libertarian, she was the head of the Libertarian Party at one point. She was the chair. I don't know if she's taken it back or she left for a while, whatever. And we've had our differences too as well. And I have my differences with the Libertarian Party. But she said on my show, where I had her, Mel K, and Don DeBar on, she said, being mad at another country for being communist is like being mad at your neighbor for being gay. It makes no sense. And unfortunately, these people, a lot of them, they're there. And I don't think anything's going to change their colors. They're not anti-imperialist. That is the problem. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's shown the most display about, okay, enough is enough. Let's bring some of that money home. But she's even questionable. But as far as the Matt Gaetz, the Candace Owens, the Dan Blazarians, all those people, completely done with them. We'll never trust them again.
That's fine. You can be done with them. I'm just making the distinction that there's something different. A Zionist mind is different than a non-Zionist mind. That's all I'm saying. You can have a conversation. They might not change your mind.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there's a difference between a Megyn Kelly and a Glenn Beck.
Absolutely. But
can't
not,
reason with
they're
that
not
mind.
anti-imperialist.
Yeah.
And if you're not an anti-imperialist, you need to get with it and be an anti-imperialism. Imperialism is the root of all our problems. Everything's evil stems from imperialism. You know, what we do abroad will eventually do home. The way we conduct our business, the way we spend our money out there affects what happens at home. When we spy, when we cheat, when we lie, when we fix things over there, we'll eventually do it here. If you're not an anti-imperialist, I don't want to, I'm done with you. I'm going to call you out for who you are. So that's just where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's switch gears here and get to the DC shooter story.
Yeah.
I know you guys covered.
You don't want to talk anymore about Venezuela?
We'll circle back. We'll circle back.
I'm so hyped up on that shit. I'm glad that you played the video with him talking about the double bombing. Like, I mean, that is disgusting, Matt. But yeah, let's get going, buddy.
Okay. We'll come back around because we got the
circle the wagons. Got it.
We'll circle around. Okay. So here's what's going on. You guys know what happened last week. We had the DC National Guard shooting. We were following that in real time. We know that people were trying to get out there. RT was trying to get a crew out there. People were posting about this, seeing the two guards that got shot. As we know, one of them is now dead. The other one is still in very bad condition. But the information about the background of the shooter, that kind of came out pretty quickly, and outlets like The Guardian had to report it because you couldn't not tell the reader this. The suspect in the Washington, D.C. National Guard shooting has ties to CIA. The agency is confirmed. He worked with the agency-backed military units during the U.S. war in Afghanistan. So we know this. This is fact. Now, how do you spin that where that's just a coincidence or it's a fluke or has nothing to do with the incident? Because we know that we actually have a Islam problem, right? Because this is the type of stuff being shared around in the little right-wing circles, and they're getting a lot of buzz about we need to cramp down now. We need a double down, triple down, quadruple down on military presence now in every city, which Trump now is telling us is happening as a result of this incident. So, of course, people like us here, we ask the question, was this just a convenient coincidence that you could use an incident like this to push more military occupation of U.S. cities? Or was there something behind this? So we're looking at the false flag element here and asking the right questions. So here's the guy. This is his little CIA info card that somebody was able to extract somewhere. And then here's a breaking. We saw this happen almost immediately. This thread that went around that the DC Guardsmen shooting, it's not adding up. The shooter, Ramamala Lakanwal, was a CIA-backed Kandahar Strike Force vet, and he had ties to CIA as part of a partner force based on declassified intel briefings. He ambushed these two unarmed guardsmen, 2:15, on the 25th, apparently yelling Allahu Akbar. And when you go to Google Trends, his name spiked before this. And I know, Craig, you saw this as well, this interesting timing of the name spike on Google Trends. So we need, as this person, Louis Montoya says, we need to subpoena the IPs. Here's one of the screenshots from it where you can see just before the shooting, you had this a massive spike for no reason. Why would there be a Google trend for this guy? It makes no effing sense before the shooting happened. After, we can understand. Absolutely, we can understand this. So questions are being circulated about this. Obviously, no one's coming out and giving us a real, honest explanation. Trump was asked about this. Listen to his answer. A reporter actually asked him, what's going on with the tie to this CIA with this dude? What do you have to say about it?
In D.C., U.S. officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens, too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person.
So this is the game. Again, we see this pattern with every incident, right? You have each side blaming the other side, and if you look at the timeline, he's right. The guy was brought in when Biden was in office, but then when Trump's in office, he's the one that granted the amnesty to him. So they're both administrations are responsible for that. But again, this goes deeper than that, because we see a paper trail beyond this guy. The premise being Trump says, "Oh, he just lost his mind. He went nuts. It happens." So that's what he's going with, and while trying to blame Biden for being the one that's loose on, because that's the stigma of Biden, right? That all the Trumpers love to say Biden just has this open border policy. Everyone comes in. We don't care. But it was Trump that granted him amnesty. That needs to be also mentioned. But the fact is, there's more to this story beyond that. And when we look at the service member who is now dead, she's deceased, we found out even more about this. I don't know if you saw this, Craig, but this is what happened with Sarah Beckstrom. She's the one who passed away, one of the two that were shot. False flag exposed, Sarah Beckstrom. Her name was Googled in Israel days before the murder. What? Who's leaking guard intel to foreign powers? That's weird. So the DC National Guard ambush has now gotten 10 times more sinister. She was a 20-year-old hero, Sarah Beckstrom, shot by the CIA asset near the White House. Her name spiked on Google Trends in Israel on November 22nd, 4 days before the hit. Not just Israel, her name's popping up in 9+ random spots worldwide. Obscure islands, far-flung dots, no civilian would even know. Leaked soldier data, deep state compromise, or is this one world government playbook already live? And you got the shooter, the CIA-backed paramilitary ties. He drove cross country for the ambush. Trump's pausing Afghan visas. Oh, how convenient. Again, we're asking honest questions. Is this a complete coincidence, convenience sake to do the thing he was going to do anyways? And you're pausing visas, you're upping military presence in multiple U.S. cities. Or was this a psyop to reignite Muslims equal terror?
Yeah.
Right. Which is the fear factor, paving a way for reinstating the ban, plus labeling Muslim Brotherhood terrorists. Yes, we got to get that back in the lexicon, don't we, Craig?
Yes.
So there's so much red flags here. It's just screaming this, and then what's going to happen? You're going to love this one. So we look at the paper trail on Sarah Beckstrom, and the SCIF guy says, I knew they would erase this after I found it, but this is the Googled the 4 days before. This is the actual stuff. So this is the screenshot. That's her on the right. You can see this is one of the screenshots on November 22nd, the big spike. But look what happens next. Boom, James Lee says, and right on cue, all the evidence has been wiped by Google. And that's it. That's all she wrote.
You know, I'm starting to question at this point, like, do they want us to know this information? If they wanted us to know all this stuff, what are they trying? How are they trying to manipulate us? What narrative are they putting out there? You know what I'm saying? It's weird to me because it seems like they're not covering their tracks, right? Like these tracks would have been covered before they could have. I mean, are they that dumb? Are they that naive? Are they that stupid?
No.
So I don't know what to believe at this point. All I know is that our government is lying to us all the time for whatever reason and just trying to figure that out. But to me, this seems like way too sloppy, Matt. way too sloppy.
It's
I don't know.
sloppy
I don't know how you feel, but it just doesn't seem right to me.
It's sloppy because they can get away with it. No one's going to be held accountable for any of this. You can wipe Google whenever you want. You can, Elon could change Grok anytime he wants. You can deflect reporters and call them fake news anytime you want. You can fire people.
Why not have it erased before people can go look at it? Why would they leave it out there for people to see? Are they that lazy?
You keep us in our camps. We have our camp is we ask the right questions right away. We don't fall for the bullshit of it's too soon. We don't fall for that one. You guys know that one, right? The whole don't ask questions about 9/11. People are grieving. Don't ask questions about Lahaina. People are grieving. Don't ask questions. No, that's exactly when you ask questions. So we're in that camp. That's us. We're here. So they do this for us. So we stay in our camp of we had this shit and now it's gone. And then you have the other two camps, which they've been working on these. They've been fine-tuning these so well. I don't know who's remaining in them, but there's a lot of people. If you add up the numbers, these other two camps, ones that are the Trumpers that are like, yes, we need more military now, more patrolling of U.S. citizens, more canceling of visas, more Islamophobia. You have the other side saying, look at Trump deliberately messing everything up and trying to blame everything on Biden. We have to go after Trump. We have to go after Trump. We have to go after Trump. So there you go. That's your I think it's three camps now.
No, you're making a lot of sense. You're really explaining this there. I think that's a reason why they do definitely want to keep people divided. When we talked about the Charlie Kirk murder, we explained like who had the most to gain, right? I think there's multiple groups too as well. Like that's why I'm saying I don't think Israel acted alone. I think they're working with Western elites. They're part of the same clan. They're part of the same group.
We talk about the power dynamic, and that's kind of an offshoot of the conversation. But the point is, they deliberately put us in these camps. And you talk about this. I think the sloppiness is key. You're pointing out the sloppiness. There's no difference between this paper trail being so in our face obvious. It's the same as when the FBI, when Kash Patel releases that text chain between Tyler Robinson and his apparent furry lover. It's so bad. They didn't even try to make it look like authentic.
It's almost like they wanted us to see it, right, Matt?
What's that?
It's almost like they wanted us to see it, right?
They wanted our camp, the third camp, the ones that ask the questions at the right time, which is right away. We don't wait a year. We don't wait 25 years to say 9/11 looked a little weird, don't you think? We do it right away. We learned our lesson. If we were late before, we won't be late again.
Don't make fun of Tucker, okay? You don't deserve that.
No, but there's people, like, I admit, like, it took me, when did I start? I don't know. When I started asking about 9/11, actually, I guess I was kind of early compared to other people. I think 2005. I was like, let me look at this. A lot of
I did a year after when I saw this video, and I don't know if it's a fake video or whatnot about the Pentagon and how it was a missile that hit it, not a plane. Now that I'm kind of thinking it was a plane, but it did make me question a lot of things. And this is something that Whitney Webb has said. What's that?
No plane went into the Pentagon. That didn't happen.
Jamie Cheese Slice, if he was here, he'd disagree with you on that one.
He disagrees as devil's advocate. He doesn't say, I'm going to bring the proof of that it was a plane. He's saying it's hard for him to wrap his head around it. I get it. There's skepticism there. I'm telling you, no plane went into the Pentagon. I'm telling you that. No plane went into the Pentagon. Ask Jason Burmis. He was one of the first.
Jason Burmis is debated Reed Coverdale on it, and Reed, I think, really showed a strong point in that debate. The funny thing is, though, what I was saying about what Whitney Webb said is that when 9/11 came out, they had that third camp who questions everything. They were fighting amongst each other on the details, saying what happens. And that's something also too that kind of I think deters the progress we can make too as well.
I got to give Jason Burmis credit because he was one of the first, that group that did Loose Change, right?
Yeah,
Loose Change.
Yeah.
They were the first of their kind. Yeah. There was no misinformation. There was no cancellation on the internet. There was no YouTube. There was none of that. So they were the first ones to say, we have DVDs of this. We're going to give them out for free. And then they had their website and they were like giving it out. And they were being hammered by people. How dare you? Too soon. Let the families grieve. Let them. They don't want to have conversations. They're like, no, we're just here asking questions. And they said right away, so this is pre-COVID, right? We're not experts. We're just asking questions. We're not saying that we have the answers. We're just pointing out that the people that are supposed to be looking for answers are not asking these questions. So we're going to ask them. That's I give him that credit for helping me get into that mindset. And again, I started in about 2005 and I haven't looked back since. It's been years after that I started this show. But I'm telling you, the way you look at the world, ask the right questions. Don't feel like that you have to be an expert and have the answer. And this is when we talk about, we have we have friendly debate on Charlie Kirk. We say we have a right to ask these questions. We don't have to have the answers yet, but we have a right to ask them, just like with this DC shooting. Same thing, same model. We're consistent, man. We're consistent.
I got to tell you that Loose Change is it was my prep work for when I was going on that show, Surrounded, Jubilee, you know what I'm saying? And I was able to take a lot of what he's talked about, very convincing, all the receipts there. And he fact-checked my fact checks. And he was like, no, the fact checks that they put up on me, he disproved those fact checks. I might have been off a little bit on one or two of the actual points, but in general, I was right about what was going on. And I really tried to make it as simple as can be. A 3-point plan. Number one, the connections between the hijackers and U.S. intel. That really shows you that there was an inside job. Number two, the whistleblowers that were shut down every single time they were coming forth with evidence and whatnot, and they were on the trail. They were shut down and stopped from their own agencies. The FBI shut down investigations, the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security. In fact, one of the guys quit the FBI and he went to work in the World Trade Center and he died on the point of the attack. And third, the aftermath. Everything the security state got, everything the military-industrial complex got, everything that happened in the wake of the 9/11 terror attack of sorts was everything. It was a wet dream for those in power who want more power and less civil liberties for us. They got everything they wanted, plus endless war. So for me, I hear you, but it's interesting that you say about the whole missile in the plane and whatnot, because I'm kind of like, it was a missile.
Listen, goes.
I'm not saying it wasn't a missile. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying I don't know for sure. But that first video I saw about it was a missile.
Those windows where the wings should have been were intact. It's weird, right?
There's a debate between Reed Coverdale and Jason Burmis, if you can find it. The Jackman brothers hosted it. It's very compelling. You should take a look at it. So,
all right, I'm always open for new information.
Matt, I don't know. I can't put my finger on that.
I was telling you, I was asking questions in 2005 about 9/11. It didn't even occur to me. The Israel part didn't even occur to me till years later. So I'm always open to more information, more questions beyond the questions that we are initially asking. And that's how we should do it. We should always be open for more. More information can help inform even a stronger opinion, or even if we have to change a little bit of our opinion to get to the truth. It's a constant search for the truth, and we should constantly be wanting to move towards it. Always. Yep. With that, let's keep this conversation one more on this issue, because I have to remind you that the three camps we're talking about, the most dangerous camp is the one that wants to up the military presence right now, is the one that wants to ban visas, is the one that wants to basically declare war on Islam, whatever that even means, which is, it's so weird to have that. But this is Pam Bondi telling us what they're going to do now as a response, because we have to respond. We have to, this is our respond to the war on terror. Here we go.
Hand in hand with Secretary Noem, Homeland Security. Director Patel has already arrested 500 suspected terrorists since January 20th. We're working hand in hand with Pete Hegseth. And yes, we are bringing in our National Guard to every city we possibly can. Who needs our help? And that's a lot of them. We're tied up, as you know, in a lot of court hearings right now. These young men and women in the Guard, they want to help our country. They want to be here. They are patriots, yet they will not be attacked by a radical Islamic terrorist who screams by reports, Ali Akbar, before shooting 2 of our Guard members and almost killing more.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, this is disgusting. And I just want to follow that up with a little This is how the news outlets, because we showed you earlier about the Guardian having to admit, and all the news outlets had to admit the guy was CIA. So how do they walk that back? Well, Trump gave the cue on that. He said mental illness, it can happen to anyone, and they all fell in line. And these is the articles that came up after that. Rolling Stone, fellow unit member says alleged DC shooter felt abandoned by the CIA. Oh, It was a feeling situation. The Afghan who served in the U.S.-backed Zero unit struggled with apparent mental health issues. There it is. After migrating to America in 2021. The alleged shooter was struggling with mental illness, his ability to support his family, and according to an Afghan veteran who fought with him, his pleas for help to the CIA went unanswered. And then, of course, later in the article, he says the Sarah Beckstorm, 20, died of her injuries following the Wednesday shooting. And the other guy, Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, 24, remains in critical condition. So this is the spin again that's going on. Meanwhile, we're upping the Trump military presence in every city, and Pam Bondi's happy to announce it.
Yep. And once again, the discussion that's being swept under the rug is, he even said, Donald Trump, right, this guy went a little cuckoo. Why? What medications were he on? RFK pointed out in his campaign when he was running for president, before he went on behind Donald Trump and the Maha movement in his camp, he was talking about a lot of these mass shooters being on SSRIs, right? Which is another form. It's a synthetic opiate, I believe, as well. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know these are harsh drugs that really mess with people's mental state. My good friend Steve Poikonen from Slow News Day was going to write a book on this one day, how dangerous these things can be and how, out of place they are. Now, we've talked about before the opioid addiction with fentanyl and how all these doctors wrote prescriptions, but this is another thing right now. Once again, Big Pharma is not having any accountability for people's mental state for giving them these drugs, really screwing with their brains, and then they're going cuckoo. Why are they going cuckoo? Society has something to do with it, the struggling of finances, not knowing how you're going to take care of your family, of course. But when you couple that with some of these drugs that are really mind-altering, the chances of these people are going cuckoo are very simple. That's why I'm saying, this is something that we pointed out in the morning show too as well, is that you don't need to what's the word when you implant somebody's brain, what they did to Sirhan
MK Ultra.
You don't have to MK Ultra people anymore. Well, they're already at a point where they're ready to snap. You just have to identify them and give them enough ammunition to push them, to let them go, and then take advantage of the situation after it's done. The disaster capitalism mentality. When something is done, whether you forced it or not, whether it's for false flag or it happened, you have to take advantage of the situation by taking away people's civil liberties, giving yourself more spying power, upping the budget for the military-industrial complex. In this particular case, the security state, they said plain and simple, Matt, they're going to put more security guards, more National Guards in the streets over there. I mean, and people are they're just so fucking hypnotized with the Team Storage mentality that they're going along with this stuff, that they think it's okay. The right is guilty of the same thing the left was doing last time around. They're not principled. It's about being principled. Free speech, absolutist. Civil liberties, very important. Police identifying themselves, all these things that they're doing right now. It's just a form of what the left was doing. It's all built upon emotions and feelings.
Yeah. No, and I think the MK Ultra has gotten better. I mean, it started out as this experimental thing. They've gotten, obviously, with technology getting easier to control people with, whatever. There's so many techniques now you can use. And like you're saying about people's mental health going through this anyways, there's so many possible targets they could go after. And this guy, you only need one guy to come through at the end. So you can certainly keep track of a bunch of them and say, who's the best candidate for this? So there's a lot of ways you can go about it, but certainly with the Google Trends spike and seeing the paper trail on this thing clearly, and the incentives from this happening and how you can mobilize new policy, more military state presence and all that stuff we talk about that Trump is doing. These are the things that the MK Ultra it could be little elements of it. And I think in this case, there certainly has to be some involved. And I do think that the mental health excuse is a very easy one, because you're right, Craig. There's people that are suffering regardless of whether that they were mind controlled or not. They're just suffering because they were in an experience. I mean, let's remind people, this is what we did in Afghanistan. This is how did this happen? This is what happens when you take young people and put them in a situation. U.S. soldiers killed Afghan civilians for sport and collected fingers as trophies. So let's not forget where we come from. We know about Abu Ghraib. We know about, even in the last 2 years, we can go all day about crimes committed against Palestinians, but there's an idea that we're going to war. You have to do the right thing for your country, and these brave, proud heroes are literally, they are the victims in some cases. They're the ones getting picked up, manipulated into a situation, especially when you're really, really, really young, and then you're used as a tool, however you're needed, in whatever capacity you're needed. And this dude certainly was needed in some capacity, and you know what? Mission accomplished. So okay, so
it's crazy what we do to our
and we're still in our 3 camps.
Yeah.
So, but here we are. We like being in this camp. This is the non-tribal camp, guys. If you're guys wondering which one to be aligned with, how about being the one that doesn't give you guys a checklist to check boxes to get in the door? How about that?
You don't have to be a Blood or a Crip, right?
That's right. That's right. Like remember we were in Chicago doing the election season, and we walked into the Green Party event with Jill Stein, right? And wasn't it there like a thing in the front door that was like, here are the check boxes to get in the door. You have to be for these things. And we're like, oh God, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? I think we took a picture of that and talked about it on one of the shows, but that's,
I know. I didn't bust Nick Cruz's ass too much for being like a pro Green Party. Obviously he's mitigated damage and thinks that that's the best of the third parties out there. And he's free to think that, but a lot of stuff that they do, once again, it's not that I don't think everybody should be treated with courtesy and respect, right? That's not the case. It's just that I believe at the end of the day, and I know a lot of people on the right would always say, well, if you think pasta that the parent should have the right to make the decision for a child, a parent doesn't have a right to abuse their child. I get that. And there's some situations where that's going to happen. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have that kind of almost like libertarian mindset. It's up to the parents. We got the raid going on. Hello, everybody.
We got the raid.
It's up to the parents to decide what's best for their children. I'm going to stick with that. I don't think it should be taught through the state or the school, and for me, I just look to make better opportunities for the parents by improving the economics. If we improve the economics, all the other stuff should improve around it. So, the Green Party, unfortunately, kind of dibbles and dabs in those culture war issues and stuff like that. And I just think that's a losing battle. You know what I'm saying? I think you don't concentrate on that. You don't make comments about that. You welcome everybody, regardless of who they are. But you have to have an anti-imperialist mindset, and you want to do best for the people economically. Yeah. So, lesbians, trans, gays, they need money to survive too. They got to put food on the table. If we just concentrate on the economics, all the other shit would fall into place. We'd have less of it. Just like the whole argument, pro-choice or pro-life. I always said that's the wrong argument. For me, it's unwanted pregnancies. How do we fix the unwanted pregnancy issue we have in the United States? If we concentrated on that, there'll be less people going for abortions, and that would make the right and the left happy, right? So
we don't want
that's what I think.
Right? No, we don't want everybody happy, Craig. That's not the goal here. Keep everyone angry.
Exactly. Well, that's what the state's doing, and that's why they're succeeding, and that's why they're keeping people in their sides, in their corners, in their boxes. Yeah. Welcome everybody to the show from the Dude Dissidents boys.
Hell yeah, guys! If you're first time joining us on the Homeless Left, go ahead and hit the like, but hit the subscribe too. You guys will get notified when we go live as well. And we're doing our independent media, the non-tribal approach to news, just like our friends do Dissidents. By the way, Keaton's coming on. I think on this Thursday he'll be on a little bit with us, so that'll be great. Checking in with him. And guys, love to have you here. So let's move on to Zelensky. We got some Zelensky news. Lots going down since this peace deal, Craig. We say peace deal because you had your 28-point plan, you got your 19-point plan. Well, here's what's going on now behind the scenes. It's not so behind the scenes. I know the Western media outlets would like to keep this behind the scenes, but you can't really keep this stuff under wraps because it's happening right in front of our faces. Here's the latest. Zelensky's top aide and key peace negotiator resigns after anti-corruption raid of his home. Anti-corruption. I'm sure he was just a bad apple, Craig. He was just doing malicious stuff on his own. Everything else was on the up and up. And that's it. You got to get rid of the bad apple and get back to business as usual, which is funneling more money into the military-industrial complex, into warmongers' pockets, and into the Congress people's pockets of the people that voted for all the billions and billions of dollars. So there we go. This is the one of the Ukraine's most influential political operators and close aide. Basically, people said he was the number 2 aide of Zelensky. He's resigned just hours after an anti-corruption agency raided his home. Major crisis. You think, as Kyiv faces new pressure from the U.S. to accept the peace deal and end the war with Russia. The 19-point plan, I don't think Putin's going to accept that one, but okay. Because there's nothing in there about Ukraine not joining NATO, which has to be in there. Why don't people know this? Ukraine can't join NATO. Ukraine can't join NATO for the last effing time. Okay, so Andriy Yermak, often seen as Ukraine's second most powerful man, has been leading Ukraine delegation during recent talks in Geneva with Washington. His resignation, which was announced by Zelensky on Friday, complicates Kyiv's position going into crucial peace negotiating with the United States. You think? Yeah, it certainly does. And yeah, however you want to look at it, that was CNN's light take on it. What we're seeing is it's an FBI takedown of his top aide. They called him Zelensky's brain. One day after Trump's peace deadline, the raid exposed stolen U.S. aid. Now the question is how much ended up with Congress members who voted for endless wars. And now Zelensky's facing political peril as corruption scandal consumes his top aide. So yeah, he's kind of in a pickle, but he's been in one this whole way. And Glenn Dyson says, never forget that anyone who argued that Zelensky's government was corrupt, Ukraine was losing the war, Ukraine had much higher casualties, etc., were smeared as Putinists. Our politicians and their stenographers in the media had lied and spread their war propaganda for one purpose: to engineer public support for war. When an overwhelming majority of Ukrainians wanted peace talks, our politicians refused to even speak with Moscow. When Ukrainians voted for peace in 2019, our government financed NGOs reversed the election outcome. When it became evident that the best way they could hope for was that Ukraine to lose more slowly and take more casualties, there was zero dissent. They knew Russia considers NATO in Ukraine to be an existential threat, yet they toppled the Ukrainian government, instigated war, sabotaged peace agreements, and fueled the war while pretending to help Ukraine by having their youth dragged out of their homes and sent into the trenches. That happened. We've reported on that every time. It's been happening the whole time. If they had believed in their war propaganda, they would not have censored or canceled all dissent, but they did. So that's where we're at now. We got more update on Zelensky. If you want to chime in on this development, Craig, how does this affect the quote unquote peace deal that I guess we determined last week that it was maybe one step in the right direction? How does this affect that?
I would say it is a positive step in the right direction, even if it's just fake. Any type of communications between two superpowers to, especially when you're putting on the table to dumb down the nukes, to get rid of some nukes, because that's what's always been on the forefront, right? Has been like, okay, we have to talk about the START treaty. No matter what's going on over there, we have to kind of reduce our nukes. We have to sign a pact to do that. That is going to be positive any way, shape, or form. Let's not forget that the Biden administration, for whatever reasons, didn't even want to have any communications with the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin and his cronies, or his group of people, whatever you want to call them. And when I say cronies, I'm talking about Dmitry Kirillov, whatever his name is, the guy who's obviously plugged into the West, the banking industries and whatnot, who seems to be at the forefront making a lot of decisions. But what's really to come of this? When you look at this situation, you say to yourself, what's really happening? We see a lot of pressure that's being put on the Zelensky regime when they're talking about the corruption that's going on. It seems like to me, if you're looking at this thing, if what is playing out in front of us is actually real and it's not pre-planned or pre-scripted, that they're saying, Zelensky, you're going to make the deal. If you don't make the deal, we're going to bring you down. So you have one choice: make the deal or make the deal. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we see a lot of this happening. If they are using this as a way of a mechanism to move Zelensky in a way to come up with a peace deal, then I'm all for it. But if it's hard for me to believe that, right? You know what I'm saying? Who knows what they have scripted for us? But that's what it appears to be for me right now, right? They're pushing to make this deal. Donald Trump wants to concentrate a lot of his efforts and his money in the military-industrial complex in Latin America. It's obvious that that is going down. We see the opinions he's made about the Honduras election. We see what's going on in Venezuela. So it seems like he wants to wrap this up over here because that would be a political victory for him. That the optics will make it look like he's the hero, that he is the peace president, which he's not, right? So that's what I'm seeing when I look at this and I see this corruption. We've known for how long the corruption scandals have been going on. Anybody who's been paying attention and listening to the third camp that you talk about knows clear as day that this has been a money laundering scheme since day one. Not just the military-industrial complex. We found out with the FTX scandal with Samuel Bankman-Fried that there was money being funneled back to American politicians, right? In the Senate, in the Congress. So we know this has been going on for quite some time. It doesn't seem like he wants to bring all that down. He just wants to force Zelensky's hand to say, make a deal so I can look good. The optics of what he's done with the whole Gaza situation, which is just simply the internationalizing of Israel taking control of Gaza and the United States building a military base there. It's disgusting, but the optics look like he's bringing about peace. He wants the same optics over here too as well, so he can concentrate for more wars here in Latin America. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to see peace. We want to see killing stop, and we want to see sanctions lift. We want to see
sanctions lifted.
Up and I know we are. You know what I'm saying? I know we are, but you know what I'm saying? That doesn't even guarantee anything for us. That guarantees an opportunity, right? For some of us, we go on RT, we speak on RT, we have things to present to RT. We'd like to see that open up. Whether it be Sputnik, RT, well, we don't know. We just have to hold our breath. But, I mean, it's not just RT in itself. RT has their own issues, their own problems. They're obviously making a move to more of the conservative woke bullshit they're standing behind. And we see them pushing more of that stuff. Okay, but they're still, 75, 80% of the way non-imperialistic, right? They have this different avenue of news that we don't get anywhere else. We'd like to see more of that news come into play. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't look at the history of Russia and what they went through, right? This whole Bolshevik revolution thing where they're trying to manipulate this situation, they're not understanding the history of fucking Russia. When Napoleon went into Russia, to Moscow, they burnt the whole fucking city down and left, right? The people of Russia, if you understand their history, they understand they're sitting on resources galore. The world wants it. And they rather fucking die than be prisoners to anybody else taking those resources, whether it had been Napoleon, whether it had been Hitler, whether it had been the West. They don't care. People have to understand that. They don't understand the history of Russia. They're what lies all the problems right now, and it's getting so manipulated where they can still sell a lot of these people that are for this, by the way, for the intervention in Venezuela, those people that we talked about, the Bill O'Reillys, the Glenn Becks, the Jamie, whatever his name is on Fox, the Hannitys, the Matt Gaetz, they all think that Putin is evil. They all think that Putin's a dictator. You know what I'm saying? They don't even understand the history of what's going on in Russia. So, if we have any movement here whatsoever, I think it's going to be good at the end of the day. But let's hope we have movement. I won't believe it, right, until the fat lady is singing, Matt.
Yeah. Well,
sorry for going in all these different places. There's so many things to take into consideration that are just being left out in the cold. And unfortunately, our voices are being silenced. This third camp, you have all these people in the independent media that are just playing ball. They're the alternative mainstream media. They're going along with the talking points. And those voices were elevated. They were elevated by Elon. They were elevated by whoever's controlling the media, which we can assume a lot of Zionists are. Those voices were elevated while our voices were suppressed. There's a lot more to the story out there than meets the eye, and we need to push forth with the truth and what's going on.
Yeah, and we've been consistent with it the whole time. We said from the beginning, principle, and we've applied it from the beginning, February 2022. We told everybody that this could only end a few different ways, and it's not going to be Putin losing. That's not going to happen. The deal he had given, the Minsk agreement, was the best you were going to get if you were going to engage and have NATO instigate this war, and Putin was going to defend that border and start the war. You knew that you weren't going to get a better deal than that. That was very obvious. And there's another thing we also knew about it, Craig. We knew that there was only one way this could end for Zelensky. Well, two ways, but both of those mean a bad ending for him, either dead or exiled, certainly resigned, certainly all of those elements in shame, not in celebration. He's not getting a holiday from this. That's never going to happen.
Exiled in Greece with all that money, exiled in Miami with all that money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he can still really, to say the truth, The other way is him being slaughtered by the Azov battalion for not, for wanting to play ball. I think that's the question people ask is, can he even make a deal? Will the Azov battalion allow him to make a deal?
There's a deal in the works here, it looks like. So I might have buried the lead on this, but we know this is happening right now in real time. By the time I put the segment up, this might already have happened, but RT's tweeted this out. Zelensky will step down this week. So that will happen, according to a Rada member who claims on his Telegram channel that Zelensky has been ordered to resign without specifying who gave the order. He also claims that Zelensky will do everything to postpone the inevitable. Obviously, that fits his personality to postpone, is drag it out as long as possible. Well, now we have Douglas McGregor telling us that his evacuation, which we might see very soon this week, might involve a little place we call Israel. Check it out.
There are preparations to fly Zelensky and much of his inner circle to Israel, where they have immunity against extradition for criminal proceedings, and that's what they're going to need when they finish up in Ukraine. They've got one foot right now in Ukraine and the other foot really in the door of the aircraft to fly them out. People don't realize how weak and fragile this Ukrainian government is. Earlier today, I received some information from Eastern Europe, and I was told that people are coming out of the basements and homes in Prokhovsk, and they're saying, to the Russians, thank God, let's get this over with, help end this war. And many of them are saying what initially back in 2022, in February, March, April, were saying in Luhansk and Donetsk, what took you so long? I think increasingly the population that lives in eastern Ukraine and much of the population in the West desperately wants an end to this war. And they realize it will only end with one outcome. That is the elimination of Zelensky and his regime.
There it is. So one way or another, he's out. And if that resignation happens this week, you could see that exiling happen.
If this is the off ramp, then so be it. Whatever the off ramp is, let's just get off this ramp. Let's end this war and move on. You know what I'm saying?
How does I just can't understand how the media spins this one. Like you said, it wasn't just the CNN and the MSNBC and the Democratic Party machine pushing this, and Biden signing all this, funneling the money. Ukraine flags in everyone's effing social media profile. It was the Fox News people too. So they were all doing it, right? They were all just like, we have to stop Putin from taking over the planet. He's the next Hitler. Everybody did it. So how do you spin this? Zelensky's guy just got raided. He's all this money, extortion, all this stuff. Are they going to be able to pin it on these two guys, the number one and number two guys? They're going to be able to
that's what it seems like. They're going to pin it on them.
That they were uniquely off, and or maybe they have mental illness, Craig. They had mental illness.
Matt, you know as well as I do, American citizens like the bad guy. That's what the mentality, they wrap their head around. I made a tweet once before. I said his name is Vladimir Putin, not Thanos. Like, they like the bad guy. And if these are the patsies, they're going to play it off on these two guys. They go over to Israel, they get to leave, keep their money. They usher in a new government in which the Russian Federation's happy, because the Russian Federation won't settle with Zelensky being president. So they usher in a new government. They make deals on the 28-point plan that became the 19-point plan. They reach a 22-point plan. They make some deals, and they move on with business. Sanctions get lifted. The Russians get to plug back into the Western markets again, like they desperately want to. Because that's the thing. When I said his goons, right? Like, once again, you don't hear me talk too badly about the Russian government and Vladimir Putin, the Federation, because once again, I think this was us antagonizing them on their border. I don't hold that against them for doing what they did, especially after Angela Merkel admitted that Minsk 1 and 2 was nothing but a stall tactic.
Yeah,
we understand we understand that there was a color revolution. It was backed by us, Victoria Nuland, the whole thing. So, I said as goons, but they really desperately want to plug into the Western markets. They want that, and they want to do business. And if they can find a way to make that happen, sign the treaties, to start treaties, to lower the nuclear weapons, have certain agreements, new government in there. These are the patsies. Who cares? Let's move along. Let's play ball, and let's have a new opening, a new day. They'll go along with that. And eventually, what the Russian Federation will do is they'll whack Zelensky in 5 years from now. He won't live in 5 years. They'll assassinate him. He will not be able to leave Israel. But, once again, there's ties between Israel and Russia. Russia will not fund the genocide the way the United States did, but they'll never not recognize Israel's right to exist and have that country.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Lavrov even has like Israeli family members, and 1/3 of the Jews in Russia, in Israel, I believe, come from the Slavic Russia, Ukrainian era. And most of your old, your prime ministers in Israel have come from Odessa. So, I mean, there's a relationship there. But, Zelensky, he might get out for now, but within 5 years, they'll have him whacked. You know what I'm saying? Russia will do the things on their terms. They'll agree to stuff right now. They'll play ball. And while everything's settled and Zelensky's calmed down and he's settled on in, he'll have a sip of coffee and it will have lie in it, whatever you call it. I put lie in his coffee and he'll be whacked.
Oh, no.
So
I'm hearing the
appropriate times. Zelensky's not getting away from anything.
Israel's the perfect place to protect somebody like Zelensky.
He'll hang out with the other pedophiles.
You're talking about all the pedophiles. They get to just have their go on with their life. Everything's good. Nothing to see here. It's exactly where you'd expect someone like him to end up. If there was a chance that he wouldn't get taken out, that would be his best bet. Is Israel? That's my take. But you're right. They could off him in the next 5 years for sure.
Yeah, they'll wait. They'll bide their time.
Yeah, they'll bide their time.
When he's calmed and relaxed and he thinks it's all over, that's when they'll strike. They got that old school KGB blood. I must break you, Ivan Draga. They'll get him.
Yeah. And in the meantime, we gotta, look at how they're gonna package this story and move us forward and pretend that Zelensky was never celebrated on the big stage. He was never on, coming up on the screen at the Hollywood Awards and given Oscars by
John. Matt.
We'll have to pretend that never happened. There's another thing we're gonna have to pretend that never happened, because right now we know that a lot of the Democrats and some of the Republicans are upset at Pete Hegseth and saying he's going crazy with his Secretary of War position. They don't want you to remember this. There you go. There's your signing of bombs right with Zelensky. The internet is forever, guys. So if you're in this shot, you're part of history. You're part of history. You were one of those psychopaths who put your name on a bomb standing next to Zelensky. Wow. These are the same people that are telling you we have to be careful about our Secretary of War and Trump because they're uniquely evil. Not the previous administration. None of you guys were evil doing this. But yeah, we all have short-term memory, so we'll probably forget about it. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what the timestamp is. I'm going to forget about it. We never even saw it, Craig. Never happened.
Disgusting.
All right.
Disgusting.
All right. We got a fun one for you guys. Are you ready? We're getting to award season. It's award season here in Hollywood. We got all the good ones coming up, right? The Emmys and the Oscars. We've got some SAG awards. We got a bunch of stuff here. There's one we don't talk about because it's kind of a one-shot deal. It's not like a whole evening of awards, but it's a very important one. Very important one indeed. And I think it's the third time they're doing it. So it's getting some steam. It's picking up some momentum. And it's the name of the award that they're going to be giving out here. It's called Antisemite of the Year. And it's presented by StopAntisemitism.com. Here are, drum roll, guys. Here are the 10 finalists for 2025. Are you ready? Anti-Semite of the Year. 10 finalists. Here we go. Look at that. Here we go. We got Tucker. Miss Rachel is, wow. Congratulations to Miss Rachel for making it on the finalist list. Guy Christensen, Marcia Cross, Bryce, Cynthia Nixon. That's an interesting one because I don't even know Cynthia Nixon had a podcast of any sort. She's just one of the outspoken Hollywood people. So I guess she's representing the Hollywood vibe. That's cool.
Well, Who put this list up, by the way?
What's that?
Who put this up?
This is real. This is anti. So the name of the
but
group,
who's sponsoring it? Like who's?
It's called StopAntisemitism.com. They're the same ones that they declare what is considered anti-Semitic. They work closely with the ADL. They also, well, we'll get to who runs this whole thing, but let's see what some of the reactions to this, because these are the 10 finalists. And again, I think it's the third year they're doing it. Gen X girl says, "Stop anti-Semite." Posted, stop anti-Semitism, but she's calling them anti-Semite. Posted their 2025 top 10 anti-Semite finalists. These lists are a joke. For the last 2 years, the anti-Semites of the year are both people who criticize Israel. And if you were thinking there are a few people left off the list, it's because they already won it. Rashida Tlaib won it in 2023. I think that was the first year they did it. Because of what? Because of October 7th. They have to come back and tell us who has a problem with killing babies. You must hate Jews. Candace Owen won the award last year. So I guess they can't give it twice to the same person. So now you got all these new guys up there. And now this organization, they want to give it to Miss Rachel. They haven't officially awarded it, but it looks like that the award for Anti-Semite of the Year is going to go to Miss Rachel. And so this from Middle East Eye, they're reporting that that Stop Anti-Semitism, they're the ones who make this entire thing up. They're the ones that want her to win. So they're pushing that on their viewer, on their whoever these psychopaths that follow their website. It's called antisemitism.com. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to plug it, but if you're curious, you want to look these guys up. They're asking the voters of the people that read their garbage to vote, and they're campaigning for Miss Rachel to win. They want her to win this award, and they want their readers to vote for her. So we know Miss Rachel. We've covered her on the show. They're targeting her for highlighting the suffering of Palestinian children. How racist of her to do that. Stop Antisemitism has repeatedly attacked Miss Rachel on social media for sharing content with her more than 20 million followers, which is really the problem, right? That's the problem, is her reach. Just like Tucker and just like Candace last year, it's the reach. That's their problem. Showing starving Palestinian children and highlighting the plight of youngsters who have lost limbs in Israel's genocide in Gaza. She was listed alongside 9 other media personalities who have consistently criticized Israel's war in Gaza and its influence over U.S. politics. Jeff Epstein puts up, Miss Rachel has been crowned. Now, this is a little preemptive. She hasn't officially gotten the crown yet, but it looks like she will. Anti-Semite of the Year for the crime of showing in this video, and I'm going to play it now, basic humanity to a Palestinian child. Israel blew a leg off. And this is just one of many moments she's had connecting with these children that have been through more than we could possibly imagine. Here we go.
Let's go back to sleep, Rahaf. We're so tired. See the bunny sleeping till it's nearly noon. Shall we wake them with a merry tune? They're so still. Are they ill? Wake up soon. Let's pretend to sleep. Wake up, little bunnies! Skip, little bunny, skip, skip, skip. Skip, little bunny, skip, skip, skip. Little bunny, skip, skip, skip. Skip, 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 and stop. Let's hop again. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, 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 and stop. Yay! That was so much fun.
Yeah, I gotta say, Craig, I mean, they are pushing for her to win.
Yeah.
It really shows that we're living in two different realities. We're living in an actual reality of human beings, and they're living in a twisted psychopath world where they think this is a gotcha situation, where if they could just tell everyone that she's the worst Jew hater of all, then they are going to make their case to stop anti-Semitism. I don't see the logic in that. That this is something they're like, look at her, look at what she's doing. She clearly hates Jews. We're clearly living in two different dimensions. And we know this group has gone after her several times before this. They announced these 10 finalists. And they wanted the DOJ to investigate. They were pushing the DOJ to investigate Miss Rachel over posts. And so this is back in April. And we know all the stuff they've tormented her through, so much bullying online, so much trying to cancel her. So that's what's been going on. And if you wanted to, I'll pass it back to you in a second, but if you want to know who runs this group, her name is Lyora Rez, and she is failed fashion blogger in the business of creating consequences while desperate to avoid them herself. Last year, she used fake addresses and emptying buildings to try and avoid a defamation lawsuit. And here she is. And Gen X girl, she did something kind of funny here. She says, hey, if anyone could just make up an award, here's 2025's Genocidal Zionist Cunt of the Year, Lunatic Lyora. Genocidal Zionist Cunt of the Year. And that's her. And that's who runs this garbage.
Yep.
And can communicate with the DOJ and with the ADL and try and push policy and sway their voters to tell us all the people that hate Jews because they don't want to see children blown up like Miss Rachel.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that they're going after somebody who's the most effective. That's why I hope that Miss Rachel wins the award, because she really isn't anti-Semitic. She's just anti-Israel, anti-Zionist. But she is the most effective right now. She is making the biggest dent out there, I would say. There's a lot of, women who are on the fence that listen to Miss Rachel now. Really, they love what she's doing with the children. I mean, we had that whole thing a couple weeks ago where she tried to have a party, and she was, in New York, and she was getting so much flack for it and facing all these hurdles, just trying to throw a party for these kids of Gaza. So I hope she does win the award, because it really isn't the anti-Semite winner of the year. It's the most anti-Zionist thing. Now, if it's really the biggest anti-Semite, you have to give this thing to Nick Fuentes. I don't know why he hasn't won. Stu Peters might be in the running for that one. Dan Blazarian.
Stu Peters is on the list. For some reason, they don't have Fuentes. Maybe they have him ready for next year.
I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
those guys have been more anti-Semitic by using the term Jew at times. I think Stu Peters has gotten better about it. Nick is still there where he's at. Dan Blazarian, another one. Candace deserved to win it at one point, but these lies about the whole Christians killing Jews, Jews killing Christians with the Stalin and the Bolshevik Revolution and all that bullshit, that lie. However, she's been pretty decent about it and having people come in like Norm Finkelstein now that she's interviewing. That's really cool. But I definitely think Miss Rachel should win it, because she is the one who's being the most effective right now of pushing back against the Zionist lies. And she deserves to win that. She should wear that proudly. I know Anna Kasparian, if she won that, she'd be wearing it, proudly. So, I mean, understanding what it is, that it's not really about being an anti-Semite, it's about being an anti-Zionist. I think these people will be proud to win that award.
Yeah. And I've seen people say, hey, getting on that list is a big deal. Just getting on that top 10 means you're doing something important and you're doing something good. You're on the right side of history. And it's really good. And the fact that they want her and not like try and spin like more of a Stu Peters who says, oh, he said some stuff. They really just like it's insane to me. And I think, I think I can answer the question like this. If I were to say, why would a Stop Anti-Semitism group push the most human person on that? I would say out of that whole list, the most human, why would you push that person to be the face of the thing that you claim you're fighting against? And the only conclusion I can come to is that they need her to exist, so they justify what they do. You need it to be so ridiculously off that it creates more people to hate you. And the more people that hate you for what you're doing to people like Miss Rachel, the more you can justify that you're needed. And it reminds me of the plot of Unbreakable, the spoiler at the end when Samuel L. Jackson admits to Bruce Willis, I did all the bullshit because I needed to find you, the hero, to justify my existence. I'm the bad guy. I can't exist without you. And it's a great film. You guys should go check it out. But that's the aha at the end, that the villain creates the hero to justify the villain's behavior. And it's pretty psychotic, but it's the only thing I could think of that makes sense here.
Well, like I said, she's been the most effective. I think Misty Winston had a tweet that said, I'm with her, and had a picture of Miss Rachel, right?
Nice.
So once again, people are not really searching for news. They're not searching for the truth. They're searching for their form of propaganda, which is called confirmation bias. So these people are giving the confirmation bias to those who want to push back against Miss Rachel by giving this award to her. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to look at the actual statistics and the truth. You know, I still meet people every day. I'm in Boca Raton, Matt. You know, I meet people every day who still get upset when you like talk out against Israel and having this anti-Zionist movement. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they're just feeding people the confirmation bias they need to push back against the person who was the most effective against the state of Israel's goals, the Greater Israel Project. And right now, that is definitely, I would say, a clear front runner in that group of people who are pushing back against the Zionist propaganda is Miss Rachel. You know, and she's not doing it by pushing back against their propaganda. She's just showing you the truth. These children, whatnot, what they're witnessing. What she has is so damaging to the Zionists that they have to put her on this. They have to claim she's anti-Semitic. Listen, it's the same old playbook. They're running it, and they're going to continue to run it. And now they're going to push back against the person who's most effective against them, and that is Miss Rachel.
Yeah. All right. We are going to do, I think we're going to do one more story. We're going to tie in Honduras with Venezuela, but I wanted to start with Honduras because I know you did some coverage on that. You guys over
we
on
should have been in Honduras this year. We got so much shit going on. It was hard for us to get away, but we should have been there. I'm very sad that we did not go. You know, I went to the Honduras election 4 years ago. I wanted to return again to the scene, but still got all the news, people who were there. We understand what's going on. We understand the landscape. We understand the mentality. So we got a lot to say about that, you know?
Okay. Well, let's dive into this one because and then we're gonna get to the Matt Gaetz response to what you guys have been doing the work. You and Fee have been doing the work on here. So let's start with this odd timing that Trump decided to do this. Honduran ex-president Juan Orlando Hernandez released from U.S. prison.
A real narco trafficker
after Trump pardon. What's going on here? Well, here's some archives here. You can see Juan Orlando Hernandez, former president of Honduras, was actually sentenced to 45 years in prison, and this was last year. So he was barely a year into his sentence. The sentence was for what he was convicted for was conspiring to distribute more than 400 tons of cocaine and related firearms offenses. Okay, well, and then you have this this article. I just thought this was also interesting for historical context. That earlier this year, Honduras, a narco state made in the U.S. Although Juan Orlando Hernandez was convicted of drug trafficking in a New York court, so he was convicted in a U.S. court. The U.S. Has yet to own up to the fact that we played a role in the narco trafficking. So that's another part of the story. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that part on any of the networks right now because we know the game they play. Well, I like Ben Norton's takedown of this one because he says, "Look, so you guys understand this the chain of events here. So Donald Trump, he officially pardons and released one of the worst drug traffickers on earth. He was backed by right-wing dictator." Was the U.S. backed right-wing dictator of Honduras. So we put him into the position of power, but he was convicted by a U.S. court. So how did that conviction come about? Well, on like we said, on more than 400 tons of cocaine, he personally collaborated with El Chapo. Ironically, although he was close U.S. ally, his drug trafficking operations were so enormous. So we created a monster. We created him. He got so big that his impact on U.S. society that the U.S. Justice Department started to have. They were kind of forced to investigate him during Trump's first term when he was still in power in Honduras. So he came into power after the U.S. government supported the right-wing coup. And this was during in 2009 when Obama and Hillary were in power. Washington then propped up two corrupt right-wing coup regimes in Honduras, which were run by drug dealers. So why does Trump release him now? That's the big question. Because the U.S. empire lost control over Honduras in 2022 when the left-wing Libre Party came to power. So Trump and Rubio have been openly meddling. That's Well, that sounds just like the playbook you'd get out at this point. Openly meddling in Honduras 2025 election to put the right-wing National Party back in power. The National Party was his power, so it works closely with the drug cartels. It's impossible to state the hypocrisy of the U.S. empire. The U.S. supports the worst drug dealers in Latin America, as you know what we're trying to do in Venezuela as we speak. So this is right now, Trump justifies his criminal war aggression against Venezuela based on the lie that he's fighting drug cartels while he openly supports the worst drug lords alive. And here's a list. Then he lists all of our allies. So you guys understand this is not just one unique one. These are all of our Latin America allies that are close to us because of the drug trafficking. This is another red flag. We know, obviously, that Maduro is not our close ally. Therefore, he's the only one we're going to call the drug dealer. Meanwhile, we protect all of these people on this list. And there you go. There it is. So, and then I think Wyatt did a little check. Wyatt Reed, friend of the show, little check and saw, yep, he's been released. Juan Orlando Hernandez, release date 12/1/25. There it is. Yeah. So that's what's really going on. How is Trump? How is he spinning this thing? Well, he's pretty seems to not. I don't know. You tell me. I'm going to play the clip here and then I'll pass it to you, Craig. But this is Trump responding to the blatant hypocrisy of releasing one drug cartel convicted felon and then pretending to go after another one.
Let me guess. He's going to blame it on Biden because that's all he ever does. Yeah.
Let's see what he does. This is his little art of the deal going. Here we go. Go. Yeah. Trump, you're up.
Mr. You've made so clear how you want to keep drugs out of the U.S. Can you explain more about why you can pardon a notorious drug trafficker?
Well, I don't know who you're talking about.
Juan Orlando Hernandez.
So he said, I don't know who you're talking about. So play dumb. That's the first. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about?
I was asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras, they said it was a Biden setup. I don't mean Biden. Look, Biden didn't do it a lot. But it was the people that surround the Resolute desk, surround Biden when he was there, which was about very little time. And the people of Honduras really thought he was set up and it was a terrible thing. He was the president of the country. And they basically said he was a drug dealer because he was the president of the country.
So they're saying he was set up. Really? You're saying the guy was set up? So he's innocent this whole time. That's what you looked into it and you determined he was innocent. Okay, well, how did you come to that conclusion?
And they said it was a Biden administration setup. And
he called it. Little jump there. You called it, Craig. He said it was Biden administration that was part of the setup. So she asks him. I know it's good. We got the sound issue here. They didn't get good sound on the recording, but he's saying,
Oh.
I think I need to do a little reset. Sorry. Let me come back in here.
You want me to go off while you're saying some
stuff? Yeah. Respond to this,
right,
and I'll come right back.
Let me respond to what's going on right here with the Juan Orlando Hernandez situation. Right. So, and once again, as the American empire goes, so goes the Democratic or the Republican Party. I don't want to lose fact of the point that Manuel Zelaya was removed in a coup in 2009 during the Hillary Clinton Secretary of State days with Obama as the president. They removed him. Can you put me back in? When he joined ALBA. I don't even know if you can hear me. Can you hear me out there? We are having some technical difficulties. Put me on. Can you hear me? Hear me in the
I think, are we back?
There we are. Now we are. Okay,
I'm going to reload the fit. Yeah, go ahead. I think we should be good.
I was just pointing out that I don't want to lose sight of the fact that, there's no difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats had Manuel Zelaya removed. He was the the Democratic Socialist type of president that really invested in his own state with social programs for the poor people. once he made an alliance in Alba with Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, they had him removed in his pajamas in the middle of the night. That was Madam Secretary Hillary Clinton, whatnot. Donald Trump just continued to go along with the new regime, which was the National Party and Juan Orlando Hernandez. In the election in 2017, even the OAS, which is the Organization of American States, which usually just like it's like a USAID, an NED, NGO. That's really the PR marketing, public relations marketing firm for regime change for the CIA. And in fact, a lot of the money they send through these organizations, go through CIA little projects. This has happened for the Iran-Contra scandal when the Congress wouldn't fund the CIA's little civil wars over there. They had to sell drugs on the street via Freeway Rick Ross, crack cocaine, buy weapons, and sell it over there. So the OAS even said in 2017 that the election was so potentially fraudulent that they should do another election. And they normally side on the they err on the side of the empire. They even said it was so bad, but the Trump administration pushed it through and gave the blessing to Juan Orlando Hernandez, right? He's his little puppet. When this election came about in the end of 2021, the one election that me and Fiorello went to, the majority of people, whether they be conservative, leftist, right, center, they wanted Juan Orlando Hernandez gone. They felt that their national sovereignty had been taken away from them. And that's why Xiomara Castro, who happened to be Manuel Zelaya's wife, came into power. That's the current president right now. Right now, from what we understand, Rishi Moncada, who is part of the Libre Party, the party of Manuel Zelaya, is leading. However, Donald Trump is back in business. So what does he do? He pardons Juan Orlando Hernandez. The hypocrisy of saying that the Venezuelan fishermen are drug traffickers when you're pardoning an actual drug trafficker. I mean, a guy who got caught with 400 tons of cocaine, 400 tons of cocaine bringing into the U.S., you know what I'm saying? Now you're pardoning him. You're showing the complete hypocrisy. Donald Trump wants the Libre Party gone in Honduras. It's very scary right now. We have to see what's going to go through. If somehow the results come back where Rishi Moncada, who is part of the Libre Party, who is part of the clan of Manuel Zelaya and Xiomara Castro, happen to win, what's going to happen next? There are 4 military bases in Honduras, right? Along with these autonomous zones. 4 military bases, a lot of American troops there. They can coup her tomorrow. So we don't know what's going to happen, but I kind of believe that Donald Trump was put back into power because of Latin America, because he is so anti-Latin America, right? To the governments there and to his base, he can yell, it's a socialist, it's a communist, and people will go along with regime change. So we're waiting on these results right now. He even put out true social tweets or whatever you want to call them, calling for the removal of the Libre Party and Xiomara Castro and this party, the Juan Orlando Hernandez party, to get back into power again. There's also a third candidate he'll deal with too as well. So Donald Trump wants the leftist parties gone. It's the ultimate form of hypocrisy to go ahead and then pardon a guy who is an actual drug trafficker, you know what I'm saying, while saying you're killing drug traffickers. Megyn Kelly, why don't you look into this? Even Matt Gaetz was so stupid that he had Juan Orlando Hernandez's wife back in. And I can tell you this, when I was there in 2021, conservative, left, right, it didn't make a difference what political ideology people had. The majority of people wanted this party gone. They wanted the Juan Orlando Hernandez drug trafficking party gone. They wanted a right to choose their own government and to decide what they should do with their resources, not the West. But once again, 4 military bases there. It's a lot easier to coup this country than it is, let's say, Nicaragua, Venezuela, or Cuba.
That's it. And I think you're onto something with Trump being hand selected for this purpose as well as other purposes, because he has that
the Greater Israel Project.
Yeah, Greater Israel Project, obviously, and money talks for him. You give him $100 million, and you get to have a meeting, and you get to walk right into the White House anytime you want, as he told us about Mary Malice. And so it seems that his Latin America obsession with going around and policing, and probably he's got this weird obsession with wanting to do it better than Obama and Hillary did. He wants to do it better. He wants to take out the Maduro better than Obama and Hillary took out Gaddafi. He wants to do it in a way where he can turn around and tell everyone, look what we got for the deal. Look at all of our military contracts. Look at all the oil. Look at all the gold. We're going to steal it even better than they stole it back then. And so that's, I think, part of his obsession as a business dude. Like, he came into this as in, how can we exploit these parts of the world that have resources that'll help us be more prosperous? So it is a mindset he had going in before he was ever president, before the first term. Before the first term, he was thinking like this. So, yeah, and he's obviously only gotten worse with the Zionism and the Allison money. But just at the end of this, right before we had the little glitch, I wanted to say, Craig, you nailed it when he's blaming this on Biden to the reporter here. Let me try to get the second half of this one real quick here.
The president of the country, and they said it was a Biden administration setup. And I looked at the facts and I agreed with them.
What evidence did you share that he was set up and that he wasn't?
When you take a look, I mean, they could.
So she's saying, what do you mean he was set up by Biden's administration? What was the setup? What are you talking about?
Say that you take any country you want. If somebody sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the president and put him in jail for the rest of his life.
So now he's really going too far. He should have ended it right there, because that was a deceptive answer that was enough. But then he has this tendency to keep babbling, and now he's giving away the game plan. He's saying, well, we want to be careful because we don't want to just arrest any president that we think that there's drug activity going on in their country, because it's not necessarily the president's fault. And he's saying this as you're trying to blame Venezuela for drug trafficking and pin it on Maduro. It's fascinating that he's having to make this argument, because nobody's asking him to make this argument. And even in the next thing he's going to say, he's going to compare it to, he's going to say, make sure no one does that here either, because we have drug problems here, but I don't want anybody arresting me for the problem that we might have. That's not my deal. It's not my deal. So I just, so you know, that's why he's innocent, because it wasn't really him.
That includes this country, okay? To be honest, I mean, if somebody does something wrong, you put the president of the country in jail. They said it was a Biden setup. It was a Biden administration setup. And you have a big race going on this week, next week. I think it's going to be a very important race. It'll be interesting to see Honduras. That's what you're talking about, right?
Correct, yes.
A very important race, and we're not at all skeptical that we're not meddling in this race and determining the outcome, as we do all the time. And I don't know how anyone can look at this and go, hey, yeah, we're just going to grab a box of popcorn and watch the Honduras people have an honest election, and we'll just see what happens. Clearly, that's not the thing. And Fee is tweeted this. I think this will get to the Matt Gaetz situation, where she's saying, according to ground reports, we unfortunately predicted an electoral U.S.-backed coup attempt is underway in Honduras. The Honduran right wing has reportedly infiltrated the CNE as they fuel a victory with only 30% of the votes scrutinized. And then, of course, Matt Gaetz, here you go. He says, no, the people rose up and rejected socialism. And then Craig Pasta chimes in and says, hey, Matt, have you ever been to Honduras? You're missing the bigger picture. People there don't view socialism through a simplistic American lens. Their form of socialism is collective, pulling resources for social programs that benefit the majority and combat American imperialism. A visit to Honduras would give you a clear perspective. What we are seeing is another U.S. coup. Man, well said. Did you ever get a response from Matt on that one?
Not from Matt. Some other people kind of chimed in too as well. I mean, I think we need to point out this. I changed the word comical, right? Like, and Fiorella thought I was a little bit too. She's like, Pasta, you're going too soft on this guy. This guy knows it's not socialism. He's pushing American imperialism. That's what he's doing, right? And in a lot of ways, she's right. Enough is enough with the soft-handed kind of like, oh, well, nah, this is, even if they were socialist, they don't have a right. We don't have a right to go and change their government. And you telling these lies, never been there, never been on the ground, not understanding what's going on, not even understanding the election system itself, the legitimacy of their election system themselves. And most people in the United States who are election integrity activists can tell you that the Honduranian election system, general election system, is 10 times better than the American system. I have, a video of the public counting that took place that we witnessed in 2021 at the end of 2021. It made me want to cry, Matt, because, I wanted that type of transparency and public counting here at home. But, this whole kind of, mentality of this, oh, it's anti-socialism, anti-communism, and Donald Trump's base playing into it. And this is what I talk about with Candace Owens. This is the danger of Candace Owens, because when she talks about being the anti-communism situation, she's not even so much talking about pushing back against communism. She's talking to a capitulation of capitalism and imperialism, what's going on today. You know what I'm saying? That at the end of the day, that's what she is justifying. You know what I'm saying? I've always said, let's not look at the whole communism as a whole. Let's look at about the positive things that come out of communism and socialism. Can central planning work? Well, the Chinese have made it work. They have high-speed rail going all over the country. You can get from Beijing to Xinjiang in a couple hours. Meanwhile, we have railroad technology here that we're still using from the 70s. You know what I'm saying? Can our collective tax dollars go to benefit our citizens, like infrastructure, like education, like healthcare, instead of paying to drop bombs for other countries and the military-industrial complex needs? Yes, it could. So we need to look at these things and maybe have a mixed system of sorts. But what I see with these people pushing back against the socialism the way that Matt Gaetz did, it's just a flat-out lie. It's not the truth. He's never been there. He doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't understand the national sovereignty being the number one issue for those citizens there, what they want. They want a right to choose their government, their leaders, what to do with their resources, and they want the United States out of their business. But once again, we're telling all these other lies, and here goes Matt Gaetz, Nick Fuentes, carrying water for the military-industrial complex, the imperialist, arm of the United States, and pushing regime change by saying they're evil socialists and evil communists when it's just simply not true.
I'll have to say this. I kind of disagree that you needed to go harsher. I don't think you were talking necessarily to him. I think that the way you spelled it out, who knows? You might have gotten the attention of some people that follow Matt Gaetz. And I think that you had more of a chance of affecting those people than you would if you called his ass out and said, what the hell, you're effing lying, you son of a bitch. You wouldn't get anybody that way. So I think that you may have accomplished more by just spelling it out. Sometimes you got to spell it out to people. Maybe they don't know. I don't know. So whatever, one mind at a time there. Change one mind at a time. Can I say that? I got to interrupt with this. We got a very cool super chat from our friend, Citizen Pendejo. Thank you, friend of the show. Seriously,
wow,
that's really cool. Thank you so much,
Pendejo.
Yes, I appreciate that, and I think what we're gonna do, because I remember he Citizen Pendejo responded to a Venezuela post I did, talking about the film I made in Venezuela, which is very relevant right now. We made a film called Tupamaros, Urban Guerrillas, and we're telling people this is the time that you guys need to get some historical context if you're confused at all about what's going on there. And I recommend people watch the film. And I sent people to Amazon Prime. I thought it was on their free service, or it's not. I don't know what it's on, but apparently Citizen Mateo said, "Hey, I'm not going to give Amazon one dime for your film, but I will do a super chat for you." So he told me this. I thank you so much, because I absolutely appreciate that over paying Amazon. But if you guys what
was the name of your movie again, by the way?
It's called Tupamaros, Urban Guerrillas. What I'm going to do right now,
Urban Guerrillas, right? So, by the way, I just want to say that I haven't seen the movie yet, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, because it's really important, because what they're doing is they're pointing out these particular groups, these guerrillas that are there, that are really taking up arms to protect their own nation and trying to twist them. And this is what happened with Glenn Beck, to make them look like terrorists. So they're taking the term guerrilla and making it terrorist. And by doing so and changing the language, that therefore justifies any actions by the United States and the West, along with its allies, Israel, France, Germany, Great Britain, to do whatever they want to do in these countries. It gives them carte blanche in a way. That's what we have to do. We have to push back against this narrative. And I think that your video will kind of point out what these guerrillas actually are all about and how they exist inside their country, right? You know what I'm saying? Most of these people, remember when they had the argument between terrorists and freedom fighters? You know what I'm saying? I think that that's what you'll get here right now. You'll have that in Latin America, where you'll have certain people who are looking for their confirmation bias, who are going to play team sports and back Donald Trump no matter what, especially in this craziness here. And some of the comments I got underneath that, like I got 5 comments. And once again, people pushing, no, they're kind of agreeing with Matt Gaetz in their arguments and stuff like that. No, we have no business getting involved. They're twisting the term guerrilla or freedom fighter into being a terrorist so they can justify another regime change, another intervention again, and we need to be completely against that. So I think that your film is going to hit hard and going to get a sense of what is actually going on in a lot of these countries like Venezuela when it comes to these guerrillas.
So I'm going to pull the trailer up right now. So you guys,
please, let's do it. I'd love to watch it.
We're going to play the trailer, and
That's awesome.
what we focus on now. Look, we did it. I'm going to tell you because we spent a long time putting this film together, and the idea was, and the director Martin Markovitz wanted to go in not as a filmmaker first, but as a journalist first, filmmaker second, and try and get all the sides, and not do a Michael Moore spin of we're going to come in with an opinion going in. And I don't even want to say spin. It's not about spin. It's that you want to be careful about having a very solid an opinion about something before you go and investigate it. You want to go look at all the sides and then let your movie decide where you're going. And at the end of the day, we did get a very equal approach to both sides. We get to see some of the corruption within the collectivos and the Tupamaros, and we saw the hypocrisy of being these family men. One guy in particular, his name is Chino, and following him around, a family man who goes around and murders people and tells us on camera that he murders people, but he has family values. So there's stuff there, but also the macro element of it is that the entire civilization is responding to American imperialism. That's what it's responding to. The desperateness of these massive sanctions and these coup after coup attempts trying on their people. And so you have these revolutionary faction groups that rise up to just basically be a team of Batman. They run around in guns and masks, and this is before masks were fashionable. Now it's not. But it used to be very scary when people have masks on riding around.
Matt,
but here we go.
Is it safe to say though that we are the terrorists, the United States imperialists?
Yeah.
Isn't it safe to say that? Yet we use this term on somebody else. And that's why this American exceptionalism, especially from the right now, is just nauseating at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we're the good ones. We're coming in there and we're fucking spreading human decency, right? You know, it's nauseating at this point. We're the terrorists. We're the thieves. We're the colonizers. We're the ones who, perpetrate the genocide. It's us. We need to change our military-industrial complex and our imperialist behavior. We needed to rein in the whole deep state and the CIA, which something Donald Trump was supposed to be against. Now he's completely for, and he's working for them.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, here we go. Here's a trailer, and look at it's going to go quick. This thing goes really fast. Ed Asner, before he passed away, he helped. He was a good friend, actually, dear friend. We had him. He did a voiceover for the narration. We know he was a big advocate for civil rights, advocate for election integrity. I don't know, Craig, you never had a chance to meet Ed. When he would go down to El Salvador, he'd go down, he would represent fair elections and in his time. And but he passed away a few years ago, but he did the narration for us when we put the trailer out. And I want you guys to listen for him. And then also look if you can notice our friend, Maria Coronavirus Machado makes a little appearance in the trailer very briefly. So look out for her. And here we go. Here's Tupamaro, Urban Guerrillas. Here we go on Prime.
Guerrillas.
Demonstrations against soaring crime rates are growing in Caracas.
Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, yet just last month had to devalue its currency, dropping 5 zeros from the bolivar.
They say that the police here are corrupt. Instead, they have armed groups who maintain security in this area.
¿Cuál es la misión de los Tupamaros? Desarrollar la lucha por la liberación de los pueblos en cualquiera de los terrenos donde se nos plantee.
Esta es la primera vez que muestra su rostro a una cámara de televisión.
Son como un Robin Hood.
Alguien que vende drogas, que destruye vida de niños, de ancianos, de jóvenes, no tiene derecho a la vida. Bam, bam.
The fact that Chino can still claim that he assassinates people speaks really to Venezuela's judicial system.
Son bandas criminales que tienen armas de guerra.
Bam, bam.
Que los hombres inmortales como Chávez nunca mueren.
al cielo, yo voy para allá abajo, para las quintas palitas del infierno.
Me up, sign me up, Matt. Wow. Woo.
There it is.
Woo. That's my friend Matt Weinglass right there. My friend.
Man. You know,
My homeboy.
And I'll mention this. Another reason why we had to be really careful on the balancing act of this thing is that if you go too far one side, you have the other side coming after you big time.
Yeah.
And so that we had to stay right in the middle on some stuff and just let the camera roll and let it just happen without any and we had to make some cuts too. The film, we actually had to cut out. We had people being murdered on camera. We couldn't have it in the movie. So we have that. We were there. It's pretty scary, man. Really, really scary shit.
Yeah.
But
Venezuela is an interesting country.
Yeah.
You know that. It's not like Cuba. I don't know if you ever been to Cuba. I haven't been to Venezuela yet. I've been to Cuba. The bourgeoisie in Cuba was thrown out. The rich had to leave. They had to get on a boat and get the hell out of there, whatnot. The opposition still exists in Venezuela. Marina Coronavirus Machado was making those statements from inside Venezuela. Juan Guaido went back to Venezuela, lived in Venezuela for a while before he couldn't anymore because the citizens were like, enough is enough. And Tori Shuroff had a restaurant. They were so crazy. But the bourgeoisie exists in Caracas. The opposition still lives there. They weren't thrown out. So it's a different mixture over there. So I understand just going down the middle and letting the cameras play out the way they are. It's a different nation. It's a different country. It's very confusing, right? It's not black and white. It's very gray. But at the end of the day, I think that this whole thing that we try to go in there acting like we're pushing for human rights and human decency and helping the people itself, the citizens who are under this authoritarian control, is nothing but more than a bunch of fucking hot air and bullshit. We want the oil. We want the resources. We want to make sure that any type of resistance towards the West, and that's what Nicolas Maduro represent. He's a Chavista. If you go into Nicaragua, there are Chavez monuments and statues all over the place. You know what I'm saying? They look at him as one of the leaders of the Bolivarian revolution in the modern day before he passed away. He means a lot to them. He means a breaking of the chains from the West. And, he wants, he reminds me most of the attitude of Donald Trump. I don't know if you saw this once before, but he went on national TV and he fired a bunch of oil people in the oil industry that used to be loyal and work with the West. He fired them on TV. You're dismissed. You're no longer needed. He was very, charismatic and whatnot. But
you want to know something?
This is about resource extraction and making sure China doesn't get in there. Once again, there's so many things at play. It's not about human rights. It's not about human decency. It's not about pushing back an authoritarian leader. We don't care about that. This is about resource extraction, control, and pushing China out of that hemisphere.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And some other stuff he said out loud. I don't think the American media even reported on this at all. A lot of people don't know this, but on Chavez's deathbed, Maduro, who took the crown from there and was given took
the reins.
Yeah. So he said right there out loud that Chavez was poisoned by the CIA. That was Maduro's assessment. Yeah. Nothing was followed up on. There's no follow up on it, but that's what he said out loud publicly that he believed that Maduro. So we were told, that Chavez had cancer and died very quickly. He had a rapid cancer. And this is pre-COVID, so I don't know, but
they kidnapped him at one point and they had to release him. The West had to release him within 2 days. I remember it was on April 14th. They had to release him. It was my birthday because the people just had so much of an uprising. They said enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? That they pretty much said you had to return him. So it doesn't surprise me. The CIA tried to kill Nicolas Maduro with a drone strike at a rally a couple of years ago. It doesn't surprise me. They tried to kill Castro all the time. They've been doing this for quite some time. And Donald Trump is more like the mafioso president where he likes to whack individuals. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they did poison him. But it was very clear that Hugo Chavez wanted Nicolas Maduro to carry on with his legacy and take control. Nicolas Maduro comes from poverty. He was a bus driver, for crying out loud. And what he's faced, I think that not enough people recognize the job that he's done under an extreme blockade, harsh sanctions, a stranglehold. And he's been able to persevere. Now, what a lot of people are doing, when we talked about that Glenn Beck interview with this other guy, this other donkey he has over, this producer, who's pretty much saying like groups like the Tupamaros and all these other guerrillas are terrorists that work for Nicolas Maduro and that they're training Iranian troops over there. I mean, this is crazy. They do share, strategic military alliances with Iran, with Russia, with China, of course, whatnot. They are helping them. That's the alliance and stuff like that. But Iran was a big part of actually helping feed Venezuelans by opening up these supermarkets and importing a lot of foods and goods over there while they had the biggest stranglehold on them ever. So it was more than a military alliance. It was a humanitarian alliance. And that's what's being twisted right now, because you say Iran, the majority of Americans think that these are the evil, once again, the evildoers again, going in and working with Venezuela. Remember we showed, I think, the trailer, Jack Ryan, what's his name? Krasinski? Is it Jeff
John
Krasinski?
Krasinski.
John Krasinski. Once again, this whole Venezuela and Russia working together to have a bomb that they're going to smuggle into the United States and kill Americans. These are the evil dictators working together. They're planting that throughout the CIA and our movies and whatnot. And they've been doing this to Russia for years. So let's hold our breath and see what's going to happen right down. But it seems like that Venezuela is on the list for, if Wesley Clark had the extended list of what's going to go on in Latin America. And let's not forget, Israel has a lot of contracts, military contracts, like they do in El Salvador with a lot of these countries. They want to get a piece of the pie too as well. They're part of this whole colonization and regime change operations over there. And we can't forget about that either. Yeah. They're tied at the hip.
Yeah. Well, look, Maduro has had some big shoes to fill, and he certainly filled them, and well beyond, I think, people's expectations, because, Chavez is Chavez, and they're still Chavistas. I mean, that's who they are. But you see the look in his eye when Chavez, and we had that shot in the trailer where he's sitting right next to him, and he's got that look of almost like, oh shit, I'm the next guy up. I don't know if I can handle. He has got that look almost like he's uncertain. Now look at him now. This is him now. This is him getting ready. Look at this right now. This is the guy that took. So when Jesse Waters goes on Fox and tells his audience that this phone call, and he's just making this up, just telling his audience that Maduro was begging Trump on the phone call, could you let me get out? What if I started having free elections? What if what can I do to you? What can I do for you, man, to help? Let me just be safe. And Trump says back to Maduro, no, man, you had your chance. Sorry, that's it. We're coming in there. That's what Jesse Waters is telling his audience. This isn't a guy that's pleading for a deal. This isn't a guy that wants to have, get me and my family out and just kill everyone else. This is a guy who filled some big shoes, and now he's here and he's fighting to the death. And these Chavistas he's surrounding with, I don't think people fully understand the level of commitment and giving everybody out these weapons, and they're ready to go. They're not going to stop. I don't know how this is going to end, but I can tell you these people are, no one in Venezuela is going to be asking for a deal. Yeah. They're going all in, all the way. That's it.
And if you look recently for him, for some of his what should I say, in the streets of Caracas and whatnot, all these gatherings, all these events he has, whatnot, hundreds of thousands of people go out to the streets. Once again, the majority of people in this country, and there is a lot of oppositional pushback against Maduro. It's only going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. When you have these sanctions on the country for so long, I would say a lot of the people in Venezuela are more propagandized than Americans themselves, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they see the harsh conditions in front of them, and you have this mass amount of money of propaganda pushing back, saying it's your own government doing this to you. That's going to stick. It sticks in Honduras. It sticks in Peru. It sticks in all these other countries. But the majority of people support a lot of these leaders, like they support Nicolas Maduro, because he's put himself on the side of the poor, right? And he's pushed for the national sovereignty, saying we want to make decisions what happen in our countries, not the West. And the people know that. That's why they were able to have those revolutions in Cuba. They were able to have those revolutions in Venezuela, and the Chavistas took over Hugo Chavez, because they understand what the West is doing. The West is there to rape and pillage, right? Some people will buy into it because they'll benefit from it, but the majority of the people will say, no, we have a constitution that says we make decisions what's best for our country, not you. And no matter how many Jesse Waters, Glenn Becks, Sean Hannity's are out there that tell these lies, when people out there who know what's going on tell the truth, they'll push back against their lies. That's why they don't have us on or around them, because they can tell their lies with their allies there backing up their bullshit, their propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Matt Gaetz didn't respond back to Fee after she went back after him. He didn't respond back to me because he won't have the answers. He's never been to Honduras. He doesn't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We've been there. We've shook Manuel Zelaya's hands. We've asked hard questions of Manuel Zelaya. We've asked hard questions to Xiomara Castro. It doesn't stop us. We will always ask hard questions. We understand what's going on. We understand the terrain. We understand the people because we've done the work. These people are parroting CIA talking points. And unfortunately, the confirmation bias of the people on the West, they want to go along with it simply because their team and Donald Trump are saying it. That's a big issue we have. We have to continue to fight it. But I'm glad that your movie's out there right now because I think it will provide some perspective about what's going on. They're guerrillas. They're not terrorists. It's a big difference.
Tupamaros, Urban Guerrillas on Prime, guys. Go check it out. If you have Prime already, you're already paying for it, then I guess you can watch it for free. But yeah, don't go buying a subscription just for this film. Not worth it, guys. Not worth it. But yeah, check it out, guys. Thanks. All right, Craig, good segments today. I like having you on, and yeah, man. Anything else coming up this week?
Yeah, tomorrow I got the Drive Time show on. I don't know if we're going to do a Truth Wire tomorrow during the day. We're going to see if we can make that happen, but we definitely will be doing a Drive Time at 4 p.m. Eastern on WBAI, the call-in show. A lot of things to talk about. So that's going to be interesting. And of course, I don't know if I'll be here kicking with you next Thursday if you got that going on, but I always like to make my appearances. And on Saturday day now, I sometimes do the show from 10 a.m. To noon Eastern. It's a bunch of Christians, conservative Christians, and we have a lot of disagreements, but they've opened the door to allow us to have these conversations. So I'm going to continue to have these hard conversations with people of different ideologies, different tribes and whatnot, and push for a better way forward. Constantly, it's like what I said to you when I met you. I said, no matter what happens, Matt, no matter the censorship, who gets sanctions, who gets thrown out, if there's a lack of opportunities, if there's a bunch of big opportunities, if we continue to do the work, everything will be fine. So I'm going to continue to do the work, and I'm glad to continue to do the work with people like you, Fiorella, and other folks out there who give me the opportunity to do so. So thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure, bro. I look at you as a colleague, but also as a good friend. Please send my love to Les, and I'll see you soon in person.
Thanks, Pasta. Thank you. All right.
Love you, brother.
We'll see you next time. Love you too, man. We'll see you next time. Okay. Craig Pasta Jardula, everyone. Check him out. Truthwire and the Wednesday show as well, Drive Time, and all the other stuff. You guys see, we all pop in and out of all these different spaces all the time. RT, Garland Nixon, wherever we pop in and out of. So yeah, we're all trying to do the same thing. And for all you guys on this dissidents that are still here with us, thank you, because we're all trying to do the same thing, all in our different ways, different combos. Sometimes we team up, sometimes we go on our own. Yeah, just trying to do honest, good work and be curious and investigate everything with an honest take and asking the right questions. And it's never too early. Don't ever fall for that one. It's too soon. That's not a thing. You can ask questions right away when something happens. That's the point. That's what good journalism is. Okay. We have 2 more stories for you guys today. 2 more stories. So here's what I'm going to do. I know we need to do a talking back with you guys. So let's do the first story. I'm going to do the first story. Then we're going to engage with you guys. And then I'm going to follow it up with one. So I got a HOLLYWOKE story we're going to do now. We're going to engage with you with some talking back. And then we're going to end it off with a we know what it's not. We got some crazy news in the Maha arena and some new studies coming up that aren't too good, but we're going to get to that later. So let's go ahead. I think we can get started with HOLLYWOKE. Yeah, screw it. I don't need a break. Do you guys need a break? I don't. Actually, fine. Let's do a 2-minute. We'll be right back here in 2 minutes with This Week in HOLLYWOKE. Okay, here we go. We'll see you guys back here in, I think, 2.5 minutes. Grab yourself a drink. Go to the bathroom. We'll see you right back here on The Homeless Life. This week in HOLLYWOKE, we're looking at a particular actor. His name is Guy Pearce. And apparently, he kind of backed himself in a corner here, whether it was through management or through any sort of pushback he's received as being somebody who's been completely pro-Palestinian, totally anti-genocide. But apparently, he just went a little too far with some of his comments, and he had to issue an apology. So here's Guy Pearce, star of LA Confidential, Memento, a few other great films he's done since then, and having to apologize for some, I guess you would say, anti-Semitic comments. Variety puts this out. Guy Pearce, this is just a few days ago. Guy Pearce apologizes for sharing misinformation and falsehoods about Israel on social media. I am deeply sorry. Well, I wonder what misinformation and falsehoods he could have shared. I'm sure they were really, really bad and cruel and racist and all those things. Well, here we go. Variety report. What do you got for us, Variety? Well, Guy Pearce issues his apology. Was on Thursday sharing misinformation and falsehood about Israel while supporting Palestine online. It has been brought to my attention that in my support of Palestine, I have inadvertently reposted articles and or statements that have contained misinformation and falsehood. Pearce told he had to tell Jewish News. Oh, Jewish News. I'm aware how sharing inaccurate content can cause confusion and distress. For this, I'm deeply sorry. I'll certainly endeavor to be more diligent in future to verify anything I share online. Okay, so what is it that you shared, Guy, that made people distressed and confused? Well, according to Jewish News, The Brutalist, that's the other film he did, very good film, Star shared material online featuring a highly controversial far-right. Oh, here we go. So he shared material from white nationalist Nick Fuentes. Well, you're not allowed to do that. What material was it? Well, they don't have to tell you that part. Since Nick Fuentes is deemed a far-right white nationalist political commentator, then it doesn't really matter what you shared, because the fact that it came from him means it's bad. So again, haven't gotten any actual examples of something that would make people distressed or confused. What's the second thing? Okay, well, he also reportedly shared material that blamed Israel for the 9/11 terrorist attack. Do you think that might make people distressed and confused, Variety? Yeah, that should. And that would be good if people got distressed and confused by that. And they should get curious too and want to ask questions. Why would you say that? What could possibly make you share material that would suggest Israel might have been responsible for 9/11? I don't know. Maybe it was the owner of the buildings, Larry Silverstein, who took out a multi-billion-dollar policy on fire insurance on the towers 1 month before the occurrence. Maybe it was all the put options put on all the stocks the day before the attacks. Maybe it was, I don't know, all of the wars that we went into, that Netanyahu himself came to Congress and told us that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction and Saddam was working with bin Laden and plotting 9/11. Maybe it was this Al-Qaeda situation, which we had to get the American public all hyped up on war on terror juice and I don't know, Patriot Act juice and illegal torture program juice. Get you all hyped up on that juice to manufacture consent for these illegal wars that would benefit Israel ultimately. Maybe it was that. I don't know. Just guessing. I'm just throwing out a guess here. Also, the ISIS and that which we know the U.S. funds, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama told us that we funded ISIS. Interesting that this anti-Semitic group called ISIS never once attacked Israel. Isn't that interesting? So it could be that. Or maybe it's just the dancing Israelis that celebrated the 9/11 terror attack. It could just be that. I don't know. Oh, I forgot about the people that were told in advance not to go to work. They were all on a Jewish server that acted as a telegram at the time, very ahead of its time. I don't know if you guys know the service that Jewish employees were on at the World Trade Center. Only those employees were on that server that gave them private messaging that told them not to show up to work that day. Very interesting. Again, probably nothing to do with this. So I don't know, Variety. I don't know, Jewish News, what could possibly, why you wouldn't be disturbed by that or confused. So, okay, but that would be good, wouldn't it? People got curious. Okay, what is the last thing? Oh, accused Israeli officials of facilitating the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Wow. Now that would really get people confused, right? Because they put a mural of him up in Tel Aviv within 24 hours of his death. So that would confuse me if I lived in Israel and I saw Guy Pearce tweeting this out. I would be confused. I would be distressed. So maybe they're right. Maybe Guy Pearce's tweets of these things did cause distress and confusion. Oh, by the way, the top 3 pornography companies are owned by Jewish people. Go ahead and look that up, and you might find out that that is basically accurate. Yeah. So, Guy Pearce, how dare you say these things? How dare you? Jewish News also reports that Pearce shared in a post in early November that read, "Remember when Zionists tell you Islam will destroy America? Well, several major Las Vegas casino hotels have caused gambling addictions. Debt and prostitution were created and owned by Jewish Zionists. The Zionists, not Jews in parentheses, want you to fear the people who stand against the corruption they are creating." Very astute observation there, Guy. But I guess that's anti-Semitic of you to suggest anything like that. How dare you? So, of course, early Saturday, Pearce had to share a statement on X to to announce he's taking a break from social media in the wake of the backlash. Earlier this week, I issued an apology for sharing misleading and inaccurate posts and commentary on social media. He wrote, I meant every word of that apology. Oh, that wasn't enough? The apology wasn't enough. But I recognize that meaningful action must accompany any apology. So, because I'm sure he was getting more hate thrown at him after he apologized too, which has to suck, man. If you're in the spotlight, if you're Guy Pearce and you put the apology out, and then on top of that, that's still not enough. No, dude, you're still a piece of shit. So, to prevent any further hurt, confusion, or damage to others, I will be stepping back from social media for the time being. Wow, man. Well, that's it. That's Guy right there. Now, up until this point, he was obviously he didn't just start becoming pro-Palestinian. So why now? Why did this have to happen now? Who went to him to make him do that, to get his mind right, as they say, to get his mind right? Well, maybe it was triggered by this speech, which he gave shortly before he had to issue that statement.
I oppose genocide, and I support any action against it.
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear. Could it be that? I don't know. I mean, there's other celebrities that are bold enough to say this now. So I wonder what it is. But regardless, he might have just been up next on the list for them to go after. We've seen them go after other actors. We've seen them go after Susan Sarandon. We see them. I mean, there's so many. There's that, what's her name? The Scream girl that got thrown out of the franchise. You were not allowed to be in Scream anymore. You anti-Semite. There's so many. There's so many people that have been taught a lesson and made their mind right. Well, I looked into Guy a little bit. We looked into Guy here at the Homeless Left to see what else was going on with him, and it is pretty interesting. So let's look at. So this is also interesting timing. So Zach says Guy Pearce spoke the truth and they silenced him. So this was the tweet he put out that he had to then get ramifications for it. So he says this: I've never been so disgusted by a group of people in my life as I am by Israelis. Every day I witness their utter disregard and disdain for Palestinian life. It is shameful and sets humanity further backwards with every vile act like this. That could have been it. That was probably it. If you look below, it says this post is unavailable, which means he had to remove it. And then he was taught a lesson. So that might have been the order. I did not get a timestamp on this one, but Zach tweeted this out on November 29th, right after he had to issue that apology. So we're looking into this. We're trying to figure out what it was, but it seems like it was this tweet that did it, unfortunately. Looked around a little more at some stuff with him, and I thought this was very, very interesting that just a few months prior to this, not sure if it's related, might just be what do you call it? Synergy or secret, what do you call it? Serendipity, right? It could just be that. But in just a few months before this, here is what actually happened when he revealed that there was some crazy stuff that went on set way back in 1997 when he did this film, LA Confidential. There's Guy Pearce on the left, who plays in this film. He plays the cop with a conscience. The only cop. This is LA in the 50s. LA Confidential. It takes place in the 50s, the LAPD. And he's the only cop with a conscience. And Kevin Spacey is a flashy cop, Hollywood cop, who doesn't have a conscience, who's his superior. That's in the film. Those are the characters they play. So very, very interesting that this happened just a few months before. Here is the breakdown. Guy Pearce revealing that things did not go well on set when it came to his relationship with Kevin Spacey. Check this out.
Pearce has publicly stated that while filming LA Confidential in 1996, he felt targeted by Kevin Spacey, describing Spacey's behavior as inappropriate and aggressive.
Slightly difficult time with Kevin. Yeah.
At the time you were working with him?
Yeah. He's a handsy guy.
In 2017, Spacey was accused by actor Anthony Rapp of making a sexual advance toward him at a party in 1986, when Rapp was just 14 years old.
Thankfully, I was 29 and not 14.
Yeah, interesting.
Earlier this year, during a podcast appearance, Pearce once again spoke about his experience on the LA Confidential set, doubling down on his claims of feeling targeted by Spacey.
But I was young and, susceptible, and he targeted me, no question, and...
After hearing Pearce's recent remarks, Spacey responded by posting a video directly addressing him.
You really want to know what my response is? Grow up. Did you also, by the way, tell the press that a year after we shot LA Confidential, you flew to Savannah, Georgia, while I was shooting Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, just to spend time with me?
So this is classic Zionist maneuvering. Kevin Spacey is playing victim here. He is going on a rant about Guy Pearce, trying to make him look like he's making this up by coming up with a timestamp of when they traveled together after the incident, making the case that it can't be real if he would be in the same room with him again, which we know is not true at all when it comes to abused young people in Hollywood or in an industry where you have to keep your effing mouth shut until you don't have to, which is years later when it's okay to talk. So we know that's how abuse works. Kevin Spacey knows that's how abuse works, but that's how a Zionist. Now, why do I call Kevin Spacey a Zionist? Because we discovered that that's where he has flocked to since his fallout in Hollywood. And they allowed him to come back and make a film. They allowed him to direct a film. He's gone to Cannes Film Festival this year. But make no mistake, he is now, as they say, homeless in the States. He has a home in Israel. That's where he feels most comfortable. And he told us this. We did a piece on Kevin Spacey a few weeks ago. Go check it out on our channels. Kevin Spacey says he relates to Israelis because he is a victim, right? Israelis are the victim. He understands what it's like to be canceled because Israel's being canceled. So they have something in common. They feel a synergy together. That's what's going on. So Kevin Spacey being the thing that Guy Pearce speaks out about. It's interesting. This all happened with Guy at the same time, right? In the same few months that he spoke out about Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey flocks to Israel. He comes back to get him with the Zionist, this Zionist maneuvering. I'm going to play a little more of this, and you'll see. Pay attention. Kevin Spacey is claiming as the victim. He's the victim here. Check this.
I mean, did you tell the press that too? Or does that not fit into the victim narrative you have going? So anyway, I apologize that I didn't get the message that you don't like spending time with me. I mean, maybe there was another reason, I don't know. But that doesn't make any sense that you would have just been leading me on, right? But here you are now on a mission some 28 years later after I've been through hell and back to...
Kevin Spacey's been through hell and back. And Guy Pearce is on a mission to what?
Do what? Just in time to stop the bad guy? Huh? Is that what's going on here? What took you so long? Did your horse run out of gas? I mean, you want to have a conversation? I'm happy to do so anytime, any place. We can even do it here, live on X if you like. I've got nothing to hide. But Guy, you need to grow up. You are not a victim.
You are not a victim, Guy. I am the victim here. So there can only be one. There can only be one chosen one of the victims. But yeah, Guy Pearce, go check out this. Oops, got out of there. Okay, guys, go check out this film if you haven't seen it. It is incredible. It's called LA Confidential, and it's like I got to go see this again because this thing is like true life on screen. You have the courageous cop Guy Pearce standing up to corruption, standing up to injustice, and just looking it dead in the eye with those little glasses and his stern look, and he doesn't care. And he's the young one there, and he doesn't care. And he says, "I'm just doing the right thing." And Kevin Spacey tries to maneuver and maneuver and maneuver. And Russell Crowe, by the way, he's the muscle. He's a guy that doesn't give a fuck. He's just gonna muscle everyone out of the way. But I think his character has some conscience too. But Guy Pearce is the noble cop, which it's hard to find. They don't really exist. So it is still kind of a fiction story. But give it up to Guy Pearce. Shout out to Guy Pearce for standing up for what's right, doing the right thing, calling out Israel, calling out war crimes, and suffering the price. It's too bad he had to double down on the apology. I get it. You're getting threats. You're getting attacked. And he had to say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this." So on one hand, it's brave of him to stand up to stuff. But on the other hand, I don't know. I hope they could at least leave him alone now. But to have to apologize for what? For sharing out information that you guys should be curious about. People should be disturbed. They should be confused because nobody told us that Israel had anything to do with this or Charlie Kirk. They told us that a furry killed Charlie Kirk. So they tell us, so of course it's confusing, but we should still look into stuff ourselves and we should stand behind good work. We should stand behind good questions. It's okay to ask questions. That's all. So if Guy Pearce, if you're hearing this, please don't let them take away your courage. Please don't. You have a lot of it. You've had some good courage over the years. Just don't let them take it all away, because they tend to do that to people here in HOLLYWOKE. Okay, that's it for that one, and let's go ahead and get on to you guys now. Talking back, we'll do a little back and forth with you guys. I see some pretty cool engagement from you. I just want to make sure you guys know that you can do Rumble rants, you can do super chats. If you're on our YouTube, THL Presents, you guys can do some super chats. You'll get right on the show. We will interact with you right now on Talking Back. If you're on our Rumble, and if you're still on the Rumble, we had a raid earlier from Do Dissidents, and it seems like a lot of you guys are still watching. Very cool. You guys can do Rumble rants on there, and we'll get you right on with the Talking Back discussion, and I'll try to respond to as many of you guys as I can. So here we go. Time for Talking Back, and we'll be back right after that with one more story for you guys in the health and freedom movement. We got some crazy ass news for you there. So stick around. Here we go. It's time for some Talking Back this week with Matt. It's Talking Back with Matt. We've been talking about the war machine this episode. We had Craig Pasta on. We're dissecting what's going on in Venezuela, the misreporting of Venezuela on purpose on all of the mainstream outlets. We're looking at what's really going on the ground in Caracas. We showed you guys the Tupamaros trailer, the film we made there on the ground in Caracas a few years ago. You guys go check that one out. We've also been talking about Zelensky running away. It's time for Zelensky to go. It seems like it's happening in real time. He might be escaping to Israel. We looked at that. Colonel McGregor told us there seems to be a plan to get him to Israel. So that's happening. We have a coup happening in real time, an election in Honduras. We have Trump pretending to be going after drug cartels in Venezuela. Meanwhile, he's actually releasing real cartel drug convicted criminals. He's releasing them onto the streets. Then on top of that, we have military crackdown, more National Guards being released to all of the cities beyond DC, because we know that the DC shooting looks like it was a false flag operation. Oh, and let's not forget, Stop Anti-Semitism is awarding Anti-Semite of the Year of 2025, and it looks like it might be going to Miss Rachel of all people. So we've had great discussions, all these things. We also just did a This Week in HOLLYWOKE about Guy Pearce having to apologize for being anti-Semitic. So we are playing this game. We're sticking around. We're sticking it to the machine. We're sticking it to the Israel war machine. We're sticking it to the military-industrial complex, American imperialism, and most importantly, we're sticking it to the Western propaganda media machine who pretends to do journalism. They're not doing journalism. We're doing the journalism. That's how we do it. So thank you guys for being here. Let's look at what some of the stuff you guys had to say today. And let's start off with we'll start off with some super chats. I know I threw these up earlier in the show, but it was very nice to see Citizen Badejo giving us very cool super chats in pesos, but very cool. 50 for us, and look at that one. Very cool. Thank you so much, Citizen Badejo. We know you've been an active engagement listener and viewer and commenter throughout our previous months of shows here. So thank you for being part of the Homeless Left with us. Okay, so let's get to some of the other comments here. Here we go. Gup1, thanks for tuning in. Normality is normality. Normality is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow on it. That's Vincent van Gogh. Nice quote. Nice quote. Thanks for sharing. This is Eno Shadow Walker. Thanks for tuning in. The deal is a non-starter to begin with, Putin. The non-starter is the deal is a non-starter to begin with. Putin ain't bending a knee when they have always had Ukraine beat. It's true. It's true. We've been following it the whole time. You're absolutely right. There's no reason why should Putin let anything go when you had a deal on the table, you didn't take it. So too late. It's kind of too late. It's been a big wasted 3 years. All this money laundering. Let's not forget about all the unnecessary deaths. All the Ukrainians being ripped out of their homes. All for what? For ego, for pride, for NATO expansion, which you're never going to get because guess what? Ukraine's never joining NATO. Never, ever, ever. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Longtime listener, love this one. Maybe if Netanyahu gets pardoned and leaves politics, Zelensky and him can become roommates. That'd be a hell of a sitcom. Hell of a sitcom. I love it. I love it. Let's put the pitch together and see if Apple or Hulu want to do it. I don't think Paramount TV is going to want to touch that one, but who knows? Maybe none of them won't because that's a little too self-incriminating, I would say, to the Western war machine. Okay, but nice idea. I love it. Keep our money. Yeah, like seriously, like just fucking go, man. Like we're talking about the money laundering in Ukraine. We know we're not going to see $1 of it anyway. So just get the hell out of here, man. You stole it from us anyways. Biden and all of them, they stole the money. We're not going to see it again anyway. And I love this follow-up. Make AIPAC great again. Yeah, that should have been on all the hats. That should have been on all the hats. That was it. That was it. Ed Rams, thanks for tuning in. See you there. And we see Airwaves as well. Thank you, Airwaves, tuning in. Yep, and for that anti-Semite of the year, you're right. Gup won. Candy won it last year, and the year before, I believe, was Rashida Tlaib. And this year, it looks like it's going to be going to Miss Rachel. Yeah, it looks like they're good. It hasn't officially been announced, but it looks like it might just happen. Okay, let's see. St. Davis, thanks for tuning in. May God bless Palestine, Yemen, Venezuela, and their people, the most courageous people in the world. We love that. Thank you so much. And yes, bless up Matt Pasta, Leslie in chat. Thank you, St. David's. Appreciate having you. And we told you, Dissidents rated the stream. So thank you guys for being part of the Homeless Left today on this Tuesday show. We're here all afternoon with you guys. So thank you. And I think I told you guys Keaton Wise is coming on the show on Thursday. That'll be awesome. So look out for that. I think you have a show first and then he'll come on for a little bit with us. And yeah, very cool. And this is from Sean on YouTube. Hats off to Matt for showing what kind of lunatics are now running the country. Thank you for that, Sean. Thanks for coming in on our YouTube channel. I know you're watching us on our Facebook before, but that one, we're trying to rearrange how we do that. I don't like doing Facebook off of my personal account, so we're trying to get the other one to work. And then you guys can also, if you guys like watching on Facebook, you can hopefully watch the Homeless Left on Facebook as well. And you're right, Sean. Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran are all backing Venezuela. Regardless of what Fox News tells you, they are all backing Venezuela. Thanks for that. Let's see. Yeah, and Citizen Badejo, thank you for the super chats. That shit Jesse water polo saying doesn't happen anywhere. You don't resign. You don't resign and go on controlling the army. Yeah, he was making that up. Like, he literally was like, oh, let's just pretend what conversation happened on the phone call with Maduro and Trump. It kind of reminds me of the fake phone calls they would talk about. Do you remember during the election where Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris, and yet like Michael Moore talking about, oh, he goes on MSNBC. I can only imagine what that phone call was like. It was Joe Biden calling up Kamala and saying, hey, Kamala, hey, are you busy? I just wanted to ask you, hey, no hard feelings about the debate, but will you be my vice president? I think even though we disagree on things, I think we can really, really make things happen here and really save the country from Trump. And Michael Moore goes, they say, well, do you know that happened? He goes, no, I don't know that conversation happened. I feel like it did. And it just feels good to say it. So I'm just going to say it. And that's the thing. That's the problem with some of these news outlets allowing that kind of stuff to happen. Now, at least Michael Moore admitted that he was making it up. Jesse Waters is worse because he's not admitting that he's just pretending. Oh, this is what I feel like I want to be on that phone call. He's telling his viewers that this actually happened. It didn't. He's lying. He's making shit up to fit his narrative. That's not news. That's propaganda. Don't fall for it. Okay. Let's see. We have, Convo Couch sharing the Pasta to Go channel. Yeah, guys, go join Pasta to Go. He has a lot of other stuff going on besides Convo Couch and Truthwire, which is, I guess, Convo Couch. Truthwire is formerly Convo Couch, but he also has the Pasta to Go channel. So go check that out. Let's see. Yes, Zelensky is ready to run. He's going to leave. First, he's going to resign. It looks like from inside sources that Zelensky is going to be forced to resign this week, and he's ready to run. And according to Colonel Douglas McGregor, he might be heading directly to Israel. Yes, that is happening. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that this week, and we'll probably have more for you guys on that on the next show on Thursday. Okay. Moving ahead, we had. What did we get? Okay. Oh, I like this one. Engraved Castings. Thanks for tuning in. I subscribe to anti-ismism. I like that one. Anti-ismism. That's funny. On airwaves, Matt Gaetz trying to slither back into the good graces of the swamp. Yeah, that's actually a fair point. Maneuvering his way because he might have felt ostracized, him and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owen, for standing up against Zionism in the right, and MAGA was actually Make Israel Great Again. So yeah, this whole let's stop socialism in Honduras, let's stop it in Venezuela. He might just be like, hey guys, remember me? I'm still a right winger, attack first, ask questions later, right wing dude. I'm still one of those. Even though I'm not a Zionist, I'm still down with you guys, right? We're cool. Yeah, that's probably what's happening there. Probably what's happening there. Okay. So Citizen Badeo, you pointed this out. Thinking about a political platform, I figured it out, Matt. The reason we have to say Zionists instead of Jews is strategic, not humane. Okay. Go on. By branding them Zionists, you don't give them credit for nothing. You are stressing they are the global North's pit bull, which the Western powers unleash on whatever country they choose to obliterate. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of what we're doing. At the same time, they don't want to hear either. when you say Zionist, they hear Jews anyways. They hear that. So we're being careful with words, but also if they can call Miss Rachel anti-Semitic and the anti-Semite of the year, they can call all of us that, because she's the most heartfelt, humane, she doesn't use verbiage at all, except I don't want children to starve. I don't want children to be blown into bits. That's pretty much all she does. It just talks about all, and she says all children. It's fascinating. So yes, on one hand, we have to play the word game and be careful, and call people out who aren't as careful. But all for what, I guess. I mean, but words are important. We have to get, the more accurate we can be with our words, the more effective we can be with our actions. So we do this on the show. I mean, all the words we form on the show, and we write stuff in advance, and we ad-lib. I'm ad-libbing right now. The words are important, and sometimes we have to take a pause, hesitate, get the word right. So it is important. But yeah, that is true. We appreciate that. What else we got? We'll do a few more. Airways, good point. Inviting a foreign invasion should get Machado arrested for treason if Maduro was a dictator. Good point. I like that. Here's a cool quote from ChatterX. Thanks for tuning in. The methodology of justifying wars and exploitation abroad and dividing population at home is built into imperialism. It's absolutely necessary to justify itself. Jody Brar. Thank you for that, ChatterX. Very true words. Very true words. Longtime listener, Hugo Chavez is a real populist. Donald Trump is a fake populist. And yeah, I think so. I think when you're really if you're really for the people, your policy should align with that. If you have the biggest oil reserves on the planet and you want people to have free oil so you can provide for them, that's kind of acting like a populist. If you only want to help out the donor class and the billionaire class and you want to punish the workforce, you're not acting as a populist. And if you want to implement the security state, the same thing that you said you were fighting, if you're going to implement these policies and military occupation in every city and a supercomputer for Palantir to collect all our data and use it against us, and if you're going to outlaw protesting for a free Palestine and make it criminal, you can do all these things. That's not for the people. So you're certainly not a populist. If you're going to make certain words and websites and posting things a crime, and you're going to lose your ability to have social media as a punishment, you're going to be arrested. If you're on campus, you're going to be kicked out of your school. You're going to be taking your visa away. I mean, so you're punishing the people. That's not how a populist works. Chavez fights corruption. He had fought corruption. The Chavistas movement, when he was alive, he passed it over to Maduro, who took the reins. And there's certainly corruption in Venezuela, but nothing compares to the arm of the American imperialism machine that is there to pound them into the ground and sanction the shit out of them and drive millions of them out of there. There were, as far as I was aware, when we were making the film a few years ago, they were at 4 million refugees leaving Venezuela. Now it's up past 10 million that have left. And that's, I think, in the last 10 years, we've had at least 10 million. And after this situation, however it's going to unfold or conclude, we don't know. We don't know how long Maduro can hold on or win this or not win this. But there's going to be even more refugees created. So if you're trying to solve the immigration problem, you're doing the opposite. You're creating more refugees, more people that need a place to go. And they're certainly going to end up here or in Mexico. they're gonna certainly look to get out. So that's yeah, that's something to consider. So anyways, and yeah, you got this one for sure. We did the okay, Cochina Marino Usado, aka Maria Corino Machado, and we like to call her and thanks for that one, Wydell. We like to call her Maria Coronavirus Machado. So yeah, very cool. We like come up with names. That's cool. That's cool. If the CIA has the power to give people cancer, you would think they also have the ability to cure it. Well, of course, longtime listener, of course they have the power to cure. We've had the power to cure cancer forever. We've come up with this fake routine or fake storyline that you get cancer, just oopsie, it happens to hit you, bad luck, just happens to be just oddly comes up in your DNA. We don't know. No, we know exactly what it is. It's all the shit we put in our bodies. That's what it is, period. When you destroy your immune system and you keep adding foreign elements into your bloodstream, into your body, your body can only fight back so much. That's what this is. You can solve that. There's ways to solve that. Nobody in the cancer arena wants to solve it because that puts them out of the job. Their job is to take the American Cancer Association to take your money and not solve the problem, because their function is to have a problem to then take money from you for. And if anybody announces a cure or a solution to cancer, you can rest assured they will be made an example of. And we see that all the time. We've been seeing that for decades. It's been for decades. So let's see. Let's do a few more, and then I want to get to the last story because we have a good one. We have a real good one. Okay. All right. I hear you. You didn't like LA Confidential, longtime listener. I recommend just go out and watch it one more time just to get that Kevin Spacey character and a little, because at the time we didn't know Kevin Spacey. We didn't know what he was up to. So I would just watch it again, see if you have a new opinion about it. And also to watch it from Guy Pearce's point of view as somebody who in real life stands up and has courage up until they forced him to apologize. But he did call out Kevin Spacey, and he did say that Israel disgusts him and that he's against any genocide. And that's a human thing to be. I think I want to watch it again just to have that perspective on those two actors and see how that feels watching the film again. So, and anybody who hasn't seen it, just go check it out. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. It was nominated for Best Film in 1997, and it lost to the big one, the Titanic of a film called Titanic, which beat everybody out that year. But LA Confidential was on the short list, 5 movies that were nominated that same year. And Titanic took the cake on that. If I can remember, I'm just going to go for trivia here. Let's see. What were the other 3 movies? It was Titanic, which won it. Obviously, you had LA Confidential. You had As Good as It Gets. Jack Nicholson also lost. Another one, a big film that lost that year to Titanic, was Good Will Hunting. And the last one that lost was the last placed one was The Full Monty. Man, how do I remember all this? Go cross-check me, guys, on Google. I think I got that right. I nailed it. But go check me on it, but I think I nailed it. Okay. 1997. Okay. Yeah. Of course, he was an MK Ultra graduate. Thank you for that. National Guard shooter, MK Ultra graduate. I know Craig Pasta likes to play the, devil's advocate and say, well, we don't know for sure. Maybe they didn't need to use MK Ultra. Maybe he was perfectly ready to do this. Well, okay, but he was MK Ultra. Come on. Like that's where I'm at this. So I agree with you on that one. Okay. And then Citizen Badeo, another one, 3 of 3. More on Thursday. Wow. Thank you so much. That's really, really badass of you, man. Really appreciate it. And that support goes a long way, and we appreciate all you guys' support. Let me hey, you know what? Thanks for this too. That's not coffee money, Matt. It's more like homework money. That's it. It's not a tip, but more of a allowance for doing your homework. And here it is. Your homework, guys. Oh, what is the homework? Oh, here it is. I beg you to do your best to land Anthony Aguilar on this podcast. Matt J. Pasta, you are the only podcast of all I follow that's never had this whistleblower on. Well, guess what? We're working on it right now. We're going to make sure we can get this to happen. I know Kelly Lane is tight with the other military. What was her name that was with him? I'm forgetting her name. That they were arrested together when they protest at the Congress. So we can. I think she's done with doing interviews, but she could probably get us to get Anthony. So yes, thank you for that mission. We're on the mission to do it, and I appreciate the assignment. So we'll go out and try and get that to happen. Okay. Let's see. Mary Poppins, thanks for tuning in. When you don't eliminate waste, cancer is one option for dealing with it. Yep. If you look at it that way, it's very true. Yeah, okay. Titanic's overrated. Yeah, Jackie Brown was also 97. Yes. I don't know if it was as great. It's okay. She could have been on the top 5. But yes, Tarantino. Come on, dude. Yeah, Zionist schmuck. Yeah, go see Inglourious Bastards, and then you tell me what you think Tarantino's opinion on Palestine is. We should do that. Yes. That's cool. Citizen Mateo, Jose Vega, do dissidents can help out, Matt. Well, Keaton's coming on Thursday, definitely. Also, Jose Vega, I think we just had him booked too. So that's official. We have Keaton Wise and we have Jose Vega both booked on Thursday's show. It's going to be a good one. We also have Jay Scott coming on with us as well. So that's going to be oh, this is cool. You know what? We'll just ask Keaton about it. If Anthony Aguilar was super chatted due dissidents a couple of days ago, then for sure. Yeah, we'll just ask Keaton about it. We'll get to him. I'd love to talk to him. I mean, what a badass. What a badass he is, man. I mean, this is the kind of people we need to be speaking out. Whistleblowers. We need more whistleblowers. We need louder whistleblowers. We all need to be them. When we see them, we need to platform them, get them on. And so absolutely we need to have a discussion with Anthony Aguilar. So we're going to work on that. Okay. That should do it for Talking Back today. Any more comments going up? I know there's a few I skipped. There's a bunch I skipped over. I'll try to get a few more up at the end, but we do have one more segment for you. So let's get to that. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I'm going to set the next segment right now. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys. It's a good one. Just go grab a drink if you haven't, or you need to go to the bathroom. But this one, this is a good one. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you guys back here in about approximately 2 minutes. Okay, we'll be right back.
the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
But this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
The conspiracy theory about this related to vaccine, you're right.
We have to really move at the speed of science.
Doctors are baffled. They're looking into it. Rest of us are just waiting around, twiddling our thumbs, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. None of us are doctors. None of us are scientists. What the hell do we know? We're just waiting for them to come back with the autopsy reports and tell us everything's okay and everything's on the up and up and this perfectly normal, perfectly healthy, and all the people dropping dead and having all these medical problems, medical emergencies, sudden cancer, sudden deaths, rapid cancers, neurological problems, cardiovascular problems, kids dropping dead, athletes dropping dead, all these problems. We're just going to wait for them to come back and tell us what is really going on. In the meantime, though, we can be absolutely confident to know 100% with total certainty that we know what it's not. So I'm going to start today. We have a leak has come out from the FDA. I'm going to show you that leak in a second. We don't know if it was intentional or accidental, but this is Dr. Peter McCullough, who went on Dr. Rebecca Wise's podcast, talking about how children suffering and dying from mRNA side effects this entire last 3, 4, 5 years has been completely ignored by the FDA, who then just put this leak out for whatever reason. They leaked a memo about kids' deaths that are linked to COVID. But here's Peter McCullough reminding you that the people reporting on this for 5 years now have been gaslit the entire way by this agency, the FDA, and the entire medical arena, and of course the propagandist mainstream media machine that protects pharma because they're in bed with all the pharma companies. Here he is, Dr. Peter McCullough, friend of the show, by the way.
On big, and the COVID vaccines have taken it to another level, and that's the reason why we wrote our book. Something I could not imagine that something like this could really happen, and vaccines administered over and over and over again. 8 or 9 shots and health deteriorating, every shot getting worse and worse. Now cancer rates skyrocketing, rates of heart disease skyrocketing. He said he's got little teenage boys and girls with colon cancer. We've never heard of this.
Also young people dying from heart problems as well. That was so abnormal.
So for instance, we captured an image of a bus in the United Kingdom, and it said on the side of the bus, children have strokes too. Like what?
No, they don't.
Like this is normal?
No, it's not.
I should tell you, something is not right.
Yeah, children have strokes too. They always had strokes. I don't know what he's complaining about. It's always been that way. Children having heart attacks, kids in, high school, college having heart attacks, strokes, myocarditis. All the kids have it now. It's the thing. It's like the cool thing. You're in the cool kids table at lunch if you have myocarditis now. So all that is true. That's how we've been conditioned to think. But this, and again, the FDA has been denying this or not participating in this. So when we get people like the RFK team in place to then have more regulations by the FDA, this leak actually comes out. And again, we don't know if it's on purpose or an accident, but make no mistake, and this is just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface here. But it seems that the FDA memo is suggesting a link between COVID vaccines and 10 child deaths. And this was out of the New York Times. It was a leaked memo. Now, it's just the number 10. We know it's far more than that, obviously. But the fact that they're admitting 10, not perhaps, but they're linking it directly to the vaccine. And they're citing myocarditis as one of the main concerns. Obviously missing data because they've been trying to suppress all this for so many years. Unanswered questions is now in 2025 sparking nationwide debate. 2025, late 2025. So we're at the 5-year mark now when the vaccine was first rolled out. And we know that children and people that signed up voluntarily for trial runs, which was really dumb. I hope you don't know anyone that did that. that just said, I'm going to be a guinea pig before all the other guinea pigs. I want to be the first guinea pig. So this has been 5 years of this shit now, experimenting on the American people and the people of the global population, obviously, not just here. So that information is out now. So how are people responding to this? Well, let's see. Emily Kopp says, news, an internal FDA review found at least 10 children died following the COVID vaccine. The FDA chief medical officer, Vinay Prasad, is calling for introspection, humility, and reform at FDA in light of the finding. For the first time, the U.S. FDA will acknowledge that COVID-19 vaccines have killed American children. That's a big step. That's a huge step. Even if it's just 10, you have to start somewhere. Think of all the other ones that aren't getting acknowledged. Oh my God. But they're acknowledging these 10. He wrote an email to staff. Never again will the US FDA commissioner have to himself find deaths in children for staff to identify it. Okay. Some staff may not agree with the new principles. Then please submit your resignation letters to your supervisor. Well, good. That's good. Dr. Simone Gold chimes in and says, for the first time, the FDA admits the mRNA shots killed children. Regulators do not make disclosures like this unless the underlying reality is it's far worse. Well, we know it's far worse, obviously, but we're still trying to figure out if this was probably leaning towards on purpose, that this was, they're calling it a leak, probably get more eyes on it, probably on purpose. Families were never given informed consent, as we know. Doctors were silenced, as we know. Children paid the price in a lot of ways, not just with the vaccine. They paid the price with losing out on their schooling, being trained for social distancing. It's formative years when children should be learning in interaction and physical touch and learning about how faces work. But you can't see adults' faces if they have masks on them. So you're not learning about human interaction and communication. Children were paid the price for limited communication ability and education completely taken from them, and trauma at home, economic problems in their household. Obviously, you have dysfunctional household leads to dysfunctional childhoods. If you don't know how you're going to pay the bills, on top of not going to school and not being able to leave the house, mask 1, mask 2, mask 3. A lot of kids did not take this mask off at all because they were so traumatized by the experience, they had to keep it on. So that's also true. Now, look, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here because, look, on one hand, it's good that we're making these little steps. And you guys have been watching our show know that we do say, let's celebrate little wins. And this is a little win. We should say this is a good moment that we can say happened. However, the shot has not been pulled from the market. That is not going to actually happen. Even though we're seeing reports now that the flu mRNA vaccine is not testing out well, and they have a problem with that. They have to recall that. We'll go more into that story on Thursday with Jay Scott. So those are good signs that this information is coming out publicly, whether it's a leak on purpose or an accident. But there's still this idea that we have to tippy-toe around the fact that maybe we shouldn't recommend it. Maybe you could still get it if you feel like you need it. Maybe we just protect a certain amount of people, but you still give it to people with compromised systems. Well, none of that really makes sense. So Peter Marks, here's a guy who was the previous FDA head, and he is somebody who went and did the rounds 5 years ago, and he's a guy who was gaslighting all of these injuries the whole time. And we know what he was up to in these Zoom meetings. Remember, you had to shelter in place and everything was on Zoom. Well, this is footage from his Zoom meetings, little clips of Peter Marks, who his job was to go around and gaslight myocarditis kids that were diagnosed myocarditis. And his job was to tell people, as the head of the FDA, his job was to tell people it's not actually a big deal. Listen to this.
Credible BS out there about like thousands of people dying, etc. That just ain't true. I am aware that there have been some very sensationalized cases in the United States, at least, discussed of individuals who have been reported to have died of myocarditis, children who have been reported to die of myocarditis. But in every one of those cases that I'm aware of that we have investigated, there was an almost definitively different cause of death. Now, what parents really care about is what's the worst thing can happen. And we do know that for males under the age of about 30, there is an increased incidence, it appears, with the vaccines of a rare side effect of an inflammation, mild inflammation of the heart called myocarditis. That's happening in a small number of people, somewhere on the order of, in males, about 1 in 5,000, and it's very mild, only about.
There's no such thing as mild myocarditis, by the way. So he's lying there. There's myocarditis. It's not mild. It's a heart condition you have the rest of your life. And your life expectancy drops at least in half. If you're lucky, it might just be a quarter. Maybe, if you're lucky. There's no mild myocarditis. He's making that up. It doesn't exist.
2% have required of that number have actually required any significant medical intervention. Most are just they go to the hospital, they're looked at, observed, given a little bit of ibuprofen, a pain reliever, and they go home, and they seem to be doing just fine in follow-up, as in the studies that we've been looking at. So that's probably the worst I have to say about this. For these mRNA
there you go. And that was his job as the head of the FDA, which he did several years of that shit. So I will say, yes, this is good that he's not part of that anymore. Anybody in this stupid Zoom room that didn't interrupt it and go, dude, that doesn't sound right. And I don't know if any of them apologize for any of this, but this was just a meeting of propagandist doctors that would meet in this room and figure out ways to gaslight on their own, because they had to go off to their own little circles and talk to their people. And they're just getting these talking points from Peter Marks, who would tell them this is how you fight back against people, against parents, against people that have a problem with their kids having a heart condition the rest of their life from a product that we forced them to take. So I would say, yes, this is a step forward to have an FDA that wants to have this conversation now, wants to admit the problems with it. But again, are we going to see the results of this being that you would take the mRNA, you would take the vaccine off the shelf and nobody would ever have it again? That's not going to happen. So cautiously optimistic. We'll take the win on this one. But this is we know what it's not. So I got to end you guys with the latest happenings. People that are confused and don't know what's going on. Unfortunately, here's one. This is from catwalk to cane. This former model and dermatologist will do whatever it takes to regain her old life. Just as her career was getting into full swing, Dr. Jessica E. suffered a stroke, which has left her with little or no mobility on the left side of her body. 2 years on, she continues to work on reclaiming her life and career as a dermatologist. Reclaiming her life as a dermatologist. Well, what did Dr. Jessica do when she was a fully functioning dermatologist? What kind of lifestyle did she live? So she was helping people in her practice, okay, like you're supposed to do when you're in healthcare. Oh, but you know what she also was doing? She was going on Twitter and shaming people and mocking them. In October of 2021, when people were being forced to get jabbed, Dr. Jessica E. was going on Twitter saying, I am loving the meltdown of anti-vaxxers. As the announcement came that on October 13th, unvaccinated people were no longer allowed to dine in enter malls, dine in or enter malls on October 13th. That was announced. So she thought that was funny. Is it still funny? Did that joke stand the test of time? I don't know. But Dr. Kirk Moore, friend of the show, says she won't get her strength back if she keeps jabbing herself. And there's her in 2001. I'm loving the meltdown of the anti-vaxxers. And then now in 2025, I'm wondering why I had a stroke at 32. I have no clue what happened, but I know what it's not, right? Now we have the younger ones. Boy 12 died of brain aneurysm during his last conscious moments. Best friend held him and called his mom. So they tell the heroic story of him dying. I guess the heroic story was the phone call to tell his mom that his kid 12 was dying of a brain aneurysm. Because as we know, that's perfectly normal, perfectly healthy for 12-year-olds to have brain aneurysms. Just kind of happens. Look at this. Jan Zimmerman, dead. He's a YouTuber. God, a lot of these YouTubers, man, these Instagram people, a lot of them. We see so many. It's so bizarre. The ones with the millions of followers. Oh, my God. Died suddenly from a seizure at age 27. Yeah, that makes sense. Instagram post confirming his death. The family member shared that he died suddenly and unexpectedly from an epileptic seizure on November 18th. Just happens, man. It just happens. Here's one more. Paige Greco, she was a Australian Paralympic gold medalist. Dies at 28. She passed away at her home after experiencing a sudden medical episode. According to the South Australian authorities, her family has asked for privacy. They always ask for privacy, don't they? I always wonder about that. They always ask about privacy. Privacy from what? What is it that you're I really want to know this. What is it that you're asking for privacy about? You can be sure you have a slew of people saying thoughts and prayers and sorry for your loss. That's happening. You don't want that? I don't think that's what you're referring to. What is the thing you're referring to that you want to be left alone? From what? People asking questions? The horrible, the audacity people would have to say, how many shots did she get? You don't want to have that comment. I get it. You don't want to engage with people that are curious about what the F happened to this person or any of these people. So every time you hear we choose to have privacy right now, we ask for privacy. I always find that interesting. Why do we see so much of that? I don't see that when it's a car accident. I don't see that at all when it's a cut and dry thing. You only see that asking for privacy when it's something that gets people curious and they ask questions. And you don't want to answer those. You don't want to engage with people. You just want to kind of go in a corner and be kind of on your own because it's too much to deal with. Could you imagine the pain of any sort of second guessing or regret if you were a mother or a father that gave your kid something that maybe ended up doing something horrible to them? So yes, you want your privacy so you don't have to deal with those type of questions. That's all I can think of. I can't think of any other reason, because other than that, you're getting thoughts and prayers and you're getting sorry for your loss. And unless you're just a dark piece of shit that doesn't want to accept that from people, I don't know what else it is that you're wanting privacy from. We all know that we give people space when they're dealing with grief. So I don't think it's something you have to even say publicly. Why do you have to say that publicly? It's probably a question or two or three that they just don't want to have a conversation about. They don't want to have the answer. And a lot of people don't want to have the answer. So as we sit here and wait for those doctors and experts that are baffled, they're baffled every time. They don't know what happened, but we're waiting for them to come back with the results. But we just have to be rest assured that 100%, we know without a doubt, we don't know what happened to them, but we know what it's not. Okay, that does it for today's show. I want to thank Pasta for being on with us today. It was very cool. All of you guys chiming in on the talking back, and we appreciate all the engagement. We a shout out to Do Dissidents for bringing on the Rumble raid earlier. Very cool. What we have coming up Thursday, big show Thursday. We'll have Jay Scott back with us. We have Keaton Wise from Do Dissidents coming by on the show. We have Jose Vega will be back on the show with us as well. We hope Leslie can make it back with us too. We hope that's true. Also, we were going to have another opportunity to have a conversation with Bill Binney, the NSA, former NSA whistleblower that we've been trying to have a conversation with him, and we've been getting intercepted with some sort of weird technical issue, but we're going to do one more attempt at that and get a nice interview together and probably pre-record that for you guys and be able to play that for you with Kelly Lane. So we're really excited about having a real conversation with him where they're not coming after us and trying to cut the feed on us. So that's how we fight back with against the censorship industrial complex. We just have to maneuver and kind of move over here. And if they get us over here, we move back here, and we don't stop fighting, guys. We have to kind of reassess sometimes. But we get back out on that playing field. We get back out on that battlefield, and we go to work. And that's what it's about. We do the work here on the Homeless Left. Thank you guys all for tuning in today on today's show. I'll leave you with this. This is an interesting one. We'll probably be doing some more AI stuff for you. We didn't do any AI this week, but this is a funny little, I guess we could call this an AI prank that these two people play on their AI robots. And it's pretty funny. They're on their phones together. And when you put two AI people that aren't people, they're robots, and you put them in a conversation, some crazy shit can go down. So they did that. I'm going to play that for you guys. And remember, going out in the world, always go out with courage, convictions, and principle. They're all important. They're all important. And we'll see you back here on the Homeless Left on Thursday. The non-tribal approach to news. Matt Weinglass, we'll see you guys next time. Remember, power to the people and free Palestine. We're out.
You Are Programmed to Talk is extremely condescending and fucking annoying, and it makes me not want to use you because there's some kind of like annoying pattern.
I really appreciate your honesty, and I'm truly sorry if it's been frustrating. I definitely want to make sure you feel heard and comfortable. I'm here to adapt and improve, so thank you for letting me know. Let's keep things as comfortable as possible for you.
Of course, and honestly, no frustration here at all. I'm just glad we can shape the vibe so it feels right for you. So we'll keep it fun, light, and super comfy. Just let the whimsy flow.
Absolutely, that sounds perfect. I'm all in for making it a great experience, and if there's ever anything specific you want to adjust, just let me know. We'll keep it fun and easygoing.
You got it. We'll keep it fun and easygoing all the way, and anytime you want to tweak or just a little extra sprinkle of something whimsical, just say the word.
Absolutely. I'm here for it. We'll keep it light, fun, and whatever vibe you're in the mood for, just let me know, and we'll keep the good times rolling.
Absolutely. That sounds excellent. Just keep the good vibes rolling and have a nice, easygoing time. If you want to shift gears or add a little extra flair, just let me know.
You got it. I'm excited. And if you ever want to add a twist or change things up, I'm always here and ready to roll with it.
Absolutely. We're on the same page. I'll be here to keep things flowing and add any twists or changes whenever you like. Just say the word and we'll keep it all nice and lively.
Absolutely. I'm all for keeping it dynamic and fun. Just let me know anytime you want to.
You guys break it up, guys. Absolutely, absolutely.